So what's up? What's up, everybody? Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, Mr. Coffee. You made me think of something. You told me about Michael Adams playing in the World Senior, and I just noticed that U.S. Senior Championship was going on and stuff like that. But speaking of senior tournaments, like there seems to be like more of a like in Europe anyway. There's been a buildup of these senior tournaments, and it's like it's no wonder because honestly, adults are tired of like playing. Not just people who are like old enough to play in the seniors, but just players in general. I think are sick of like every tournament just being like kids tournaments. So I was thinking like, why does Michael Adams? I was like, oh man, I'm pissed that Michael Adams is playing in the World Senior. I was like, why does Michael Adams want to play in the World Senior? But I mean, the honest truth is like maybe it's not just like, oh, he wants to play in an easy tournament or whatever. The truth is Michael Adams, like everyone else, is probably like sick of playing like little kids. And the nice thing about playing in the World Senior is that you don't you can actually not have to play like little kids for like a whole tournament. Um, I mean, as I said many times, I never played in scholastic tournaments, even when I was a kid, because I started late. I started like age 11, and by the time, and I wasn't a really strong player till I was like at least like 15. So I'm 15 before I was already like a pretty good player. Um, I didn't reach 2000 until I was like 15 already, so I basically always played in adult tournaments. But I think we're gonna see more and more of this, senior tournaments, and I think the Supreme Court is gonna uphold tournaments can discriminate against children playing in the event. I'm looking forward to the conservative Supreme Court, defending the right to hold tournaments without like little kids in them. But anyway, I'm just kidding around. Guys, what's up? Please support the stream. We're back here on Twitch. It's Thursday. We have game analysis stream. We've got see today's stream on Twitch. Friday tomorrow morning. Um, I don't know yet. And Sunday we're gonna do on the Sunday simul stream we're gonna do on Kick. I need to get up to 75 followers on Kick. We're only at like 56 or 57. But I had a new student. Speaking of kids in tournaments, typical, a new student, and he's playing in a tournament in Greece, and I was looking at that on chess results, and it's like, yeah, I mean, you've got like two groups, and the B tournament is just like 90% kids. You have one game to share. Can you look into? Well, I do the subscriber stream for subscribers, Ujwal. So you have to be a subscriber on Twitch in order for me to go over the games. All right. Well, we've got a bunch of games already. Hello, Sire. Oh, Shelby. Hello, Sire. Sire. You do have to be subscribers on Twitch. We have. Wow, I just dropped. I had like 8 viewers and now it's 3. Everyone stopped watching. They heard that. No, subscriber stream. So I've got 8 games already. 8 games. We do a maximum of 10. All right. ABC FIGM. Uber Driver. Uber Driver submitted a game. Anonymous Player. Asterbait. Morales. Schumacher. So Uber Driver gets 2 games. One he may not want to see. Yabades and Saeeds. Nothing from Hey It's Miro. Nobody else. Asterbait just give the tier 1 sub to Ujwal. Alright. Now Ujwal can submit a game. Thank you, Asterbait. That was very generous of you. He was gifted 523 gift subs. So I wonder who's ahead, you or in all-time gift subs, you or Mr. Slow? Who's got the all-time gift sub lead, Mr. Coffee? What are you, gifter number one? For this week, he's number one. Gifter leader is that overall one. Guys, we need your support. Mr. Slow has over 1,000. Wow. That's huge. I think Mr. Slow must be on vacation, though. I haven't seen him. So send me a message on lichess with a link to the game. Usual. Send me a message to Sparkle Horse, my account. You see there on lichess. You can always send it to someone else. They can send it to me, but the easiest is just send it to me. All right, my chair is just not comfortable. I need to start a fundraiser for a new chair. And I have some form of like arthritis in my left hand, which just started. Mr. Still Grind over 1,000. Is Yabatis here? He said he wasn't going to be here, but you can send it to Yabatis who's not here, so that doesn't help. Yabatis is not going to be here. Done, sir. Sire. Funny, we were just... Alright, analysis board, study, done. That's 9 games, a max of 10. Max of 10. Mr. Sire, hot dogs. Alright. First game, ABC FIGM. I'm going to get started here because we got a lot of games to get to. I need like an ice pack for my arthritis on my left hand. I think I picked up a huge bundle of water or something. Getting old. Left hand has always been really weak though. Alright, e4, e5. We're white here. Knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. Knight to f6. This is so problematic, man. The refutation of chess. It's a huge problem. It's actually like driven people to not play the Roy Lopez, not play the Spanish game at this point. I mean, I don't want to play an endgame. I mean, if white's best line is to trade queens, you know, you have huge problems. As far as like trying to play for an edge with white, it's very hard. I personally don't want to trade queens in 6 moves if I'm playing for a win with the white pieces, you know? So you need to seriously consider the options of declining this. D3 a la Peter Svidler, knight c3 transposing to the 4 knights, or the somewhat questionable queen e2, which can transpose to like a whirl attack and stuff like that. I really think that this is such a serious problem that I prefer not to allow knight takes e4. But alright, castles, and now knight takes e4, and then this move, you know, truly like the endgames are kind of complicated, but a lot of people prefer to play rook e1. The problem with this is the symmetrical pawn structure. You know, it's entirely symmetrical. It's funny, even the aggressive like Nejmedinov used to play this for white. But look at the draw percentage. My God, you know, you can't see the moves on the stream. Why? Oh, I'm in the wrong window. Sorry. We got to change the window. All right. Are we still not there? We're still not there. Damn, properties. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Okay. So, all right, guys. Yeah, a rook e1 is possible, but it's leading to symmetrical structures. Knight takes e5. There was this variation. What is it? Knight takes e5. I'm thinking of something else. Anyway, d4 is the main line. I mean, for me, it doesn't matter, but I guess this is even more drawish than knight to d6, than d4. Here, um, you can try pawn takes pawn, and after knight takes b5, a4. I mean, at least this variation has one advantage, that you would like not exchange queens. Yeah, I hope my hand gets better soon. Anyway, I don't need it. I don't use my left hand for anything. That's why it hurts. Hopefully, it's not a big deal. Yeah, you can try this to avoid trading queens. You win the piece back. My friend, who's a really aggressive player, but I mean, this is known, and it's not considered that dangerous either. There's no, but it is a way to keep the queens on. This is main line, but you played knight takes e5. Yeah, I mean, so here you've given up the bishop pair. We've given up the bishop pair, and we have to play pawn takes pawn. And you know this is the main line. Knight f5, queen takes d8 check. There is the chance of playing this, but this is considered like nothing because of knight d4. So you have to go in descending. ABC FIGM. This is like just the beginning of massive amounts of theory in the Berlin defense. But people know, people know a lot. Even like 1200s have probably studied this, like 20 moves deep. It's the pounder hand, the one that pound on beers. Yeah, I really don't use it to hold beers either. I do everything with my right hand. The left hand isn't strong enough, probably. I need to like strengthen it. I need to do strength training. Probably wouldn't be getting arthritis if I did. But why this my right hand is good. But yeah, you got to do this ending. Queen takes d8, king takes d8, and I have no idea what to recommend here. But look at the draw percentage, 67%. That's all you need to know. Basically, this big gray, massive gray area, which is all draws. I would avoid it. I really would. There's an interesting move there. Pawn takes, knight b5. I didn't know that was even a move. Okay, it's not really. But no, that's why. But the problem is like this is no good. No good because you just like given up your bishop for nothing, basically. At least in this variation. The point is like at least in this variation, black has to forfeit his right to castle, so there is some compensation for the fact that you've given up your bishop for nothing. But here I would argue that you've given up your bishop for not enough compensation. After knight takes c5. Black has doubled pawns, but it's still that's not enough compensation for giving up the light square bishop. There's too many weaknesses on the light squares. No, I think the light squares... I love playing checkers. I think the light squares, are going to be difficult for the rest of the game because you don't have a light square bishop. And so, yeah, the 6 games where someone played this move, every game was a draw. Black could also undouble the pawns with c5 later on. All right. But anyways, black plays this move, which is intending to castle kingside. And I don't really anticipate, any problem with that. You don't have any pressure on h7, so it's hard to attack black's king. It's hard to attack black's king in a position where he's castling kingside, like in the rook e1 variations or whatever. You see there's some people who played bishop e6, or there's one game where black played bishop e6, but honestly, like to me this was like a player who's playing dynamically to try to like win with black. Maybe they hope to castle queenside, but that's riskier. That's a much riskier continuation. And who the heck plays, the Berlin defense for a win with black? If you wanted to win with black, play something else. But anyway, all right. c3. See, the problem here is that you've got even more. Now your pawns are on dark squares. 5 out of 7 moms are on dark squares. And we were joking about this earlier in the week. Most of your pawns are on dark squares. Now your white squares are extra weak because most of your pawns are on dark squares. You don't have a light square bishop, and almost all of your pawns are on dark squares. So how are you going to control the light squares? D5 is weak, E4 is weak. But it makes sense in terms of protecting D4. Okay, castles and now bishop F4. This is a good move. Obviously, this is the best square for the bishop. And then black plays F6, which is a little bit risky. Just to show you how little control you have over the white squares. Like, this literally isn't that bad. But I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know if I would play F6 with black here. This is kind of a dangerous thing to do. You know, but it also reminds me of a Boleslavsky game that was in... There was a famous Boleslavsky game in the most destructive chess games ever played by Chernev, where in a similar line he like uses his pawns to like overrun white. Those pawns could, because you know he has an immunity, he has a kind of immunity on the white squares, because you don't have a light square bishop. But this looks bad. I mean, his bishop is bad now, and he's weakening his king a little bit. I don't think F6 is ideal. I'm not sure what black should play, though. You know, obviously, like, developing is an idea. Ideally, I would like to play bishop b7 for him. But, you know, he can't defend the c6 pawn. So, alright, bishop f4, f6, queen b3 check, king h8. And at least you're tying him down to b7. So knight f3 seems a little more natural. But it would also be in the line of the stampede here. Mozart is here. Wow. Long time no see. You're enjoying your summer. Yeah, Berlin, I might prefer the London system, you know, to analyze the game in the London system. But white didn't get anything here, of course. Good to see Mozart. But I was just wondering, you know, okay, we want to go here, or would we rather put our knight on f3? Like, you can meet bishop g4 with knight d2. But again, you know, talking about most destructive chess games that are played, Boleslavsky, I'm you know, if I'm black, I'm seriously considering the possibilities here of using my pawns to play for a win, to play actively. But knight d3, with the idea of knight c5 and the weakness here. So that's an interesting position. You know, maybe this is... I don't like f6. I'm not sure I like f6, first of all. I think it would have been safer to play like bishop e6 for black. So can he play, or should he play something like this? It's an interesting decision. There's possibilities of bishop a6. But there's also knight b4. Now what happens in this kind of scenario? I mean, with black, I would be dreaming of c5 and trying to make my light squares good. But I'm not sure if black can get away with this or not. You know, on the other hand, I don't know if I like just doing nothing. You know, rook e8. Look at that bishop, man. The bishop is really, really sad. So, if knight c5, he just plays bishop f8. Played this. And then bishop f5. I don't know if this is a good idea, but black does have to develop their pieces. White's ready to connect the rooks. So bishop f5, knight c5, and then I expected bishop f8 here, but this pawn is a major problem. So it looks like black, you know, has played badly. Queen c8 defending. Now he can't connect his rooks. Rook f e1. This is weak. So it's ironic, you know, isn't it? That what's up, move 11? It's ironic that white, without the white square bishop, is now dominating control of the e6 square. And now black played b6, but objectively, would we want to consider this again? Rook takes rook, queen takes rook, knight takes b7. There's penetration like here. But the whole queen side is like falling apart for black, you know? I'm trying to analyze this very quickly without calculating too much. I mean, obviously black could also take with a knight, but this is gone. So b6 here. Wow, okay. I anticipated 96. I thought this is what we're doing here. Maybe it's not good. Maybe it's like just stuck. Wow. It gets stuck if you play 96? Is that the point here? 96, bishop f8, and you're triple attacked. And you'd have to play knight takes f8. But I mean, I would be like, I'd be happy with this position for white. You had nothing in the opening, and now you're like, you're better after rook e7. Sorry. You're better after rook e7. This is amazing that you got this much of an advantage after such a harmless opening. You're slightly better. This might even be serious. But all right, b6, knight on c to e4, knight e4, knight e4. Now I think like black is a little more out of the woods. Out of the woods, so to speak. Black plays bishop e6. See that the d5 square. Could he sacrifice a pawn with something like c5? Taking a break from poker. Yeah, we haven't seen you in a long time, Mozart. Stop by once in a while. c5. I just keep thinking of ways for black to open the position for the two bishops, and we would like to play c5. This is not ideal, obviously, but you know, who knows? You know, maybe black can sacrifice a pawn to open the position, but it's a little dramatic. But I'm also not that enthusiastic about bishop e6. How about black play a sensible move here, like queen d7, connecting the rooks? I think this looks like a good move. No? This looks like a good move. All of black's pieces are protected, literally. Even his a pawn. Every pawn on the board is protected, and black seems pretty solid. It's probably equal. The engine even giving an advantage to black because of the bishop pair. Okay. So that's a sensible move. I mean, d takes c5, bishop takes c4 work. It's something to think about. But black doesn't have to do that, you know? I mean, that's the point, I guess. Black's fine without it. So you could possibly do takes, 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 and then takes. But you're going to lose a pawn. Or not. Perhaps black's activity here is enough, but it doesn't look necessary. Yeah, I would say don't do c5 unless it's really for sure good. But he doesn't resolve the situation here. Again, queen d7. We need to connect. Black needs to connect the rooks. You know, ABC FIGM is white. He submitted the game. I mean, he's not supposed to have an advantage, really. Rook e3. And then the black goes back to f5, so that's weird. Queen e2. Queen d7, finally. And then rook e1. And now black trades. There goes the bishop pair. Whoa. So you can say, I'm taking a break from poker, I'm going to cash out. Black is cashing out now with bishop takes e4. But I'm not sure about this. That's a big cash out, man. You're giving up the bishop and maybe the file. This looks serious. This is seriously a problem. Looks like he missed the boat. Probably black could play like bishop g6. I mean, he's got everything in the world protecting e8. And he should be okay here. And as I said, like c5 is an idea. Just make sure e8 is protected. But this is a major concession. Bishop e4, rook e4, rook e4, queen e4. And black thinks he's okay, but I mean, you know, now he doesn't have a bishop pair. He has a worse structure. c7 is weak. You have control of the open file. And objectively, it's like still a draw. But now it's like, it's a draw, but black's a little worse. You know, black just made like the, you know, the thing a little difficult. Now he's going to have to be very accurate. Rook d8, h3. Now there you go. You got some pawns on light squares. You almost have a Supreme Court majority. You're still the minority on the Supreme Court with 3 white square pawns, but you're getting close. And then black just like plays a completely random move here. He didn't know what to do, so he played a5. I mean, I don't think that would be my choice. King g8 getting the king closer to the center kind of makes some sense. Anyways, a5 is random. You played b3, and now you have a Supreme Court majority with 4 pawns on light squares. What about c5? I mean, just wait a sec. Does he have this? Does he have this right away? Doesn't black have this? I mean, maybe it's tricky. I mean, if he could trade off the doubled pawn, you can't play d5, right? Or can you? Take, rook d8, king g8. I'm not sure if you should even play rook d8. But it doesn't look like it's enough. So he has another chance to play c5. This is a serious issue. So I don't know if you have something better here, but he definitely needs to play a constructive move. a5 is bad. A constructive move. a5 is bad. b3, he still has c5. But I mean, putting these pawns on dark squares, I mean, what's the idea? Like, to lose them all? We can lose them all in one shot. With like bishop c7, bishop b6, bishop a5. He's putting more pawns on dark squares. So that's not really good. Yeah, better not to move the a pawn at all there, I think. So black goes for this. Okay, bishop d6. This is reasonable. And I don't know what you should do. But maybe just like keep the tension. a4 looks like a reasonable move, perhaps. Instead you play take. This is probably okay, but he fixes his pawn structure. I honestly don't know if it's better to take with the queen. Less pawn moves is better in general. If he could play queen takes and break with c5, he's golden. But I guess you have queen e8 check. That could be a problem. See, he never should have had the back rank weakness. Oops. Okay. Takes, forced, queen e7. Yeah, black just drifted. What is white? White played a really good game here, but objectively black should have been okay. And now king f1. And what does he do? c5. Well, he's kind of freaking out now. Rook on the 7th looks really tough for black. So he has to make some kind of preparatory move. Probably b5, I would think. b3 was slow. You think, Mozart? I missed your comment earlier. Oh, you think like just going into e6? That does prevent king g8. Take, c7's hanging. It can't be understated how bad a move a5 really is, you know, I think. Yeah, I mean he practically, if he can't play king g8, I mean what's he gonna do? Perhaps he has some desperate tactical try like g5. This move is ugly positionally. Oh no. Okay, he has to take and play like g5. That doesn't work. Damn. He doesn't even have g5. That sucks. He can't even play g5. Oh man. Queen takes, rook takes, so he has to trade queens. And then bishop d6. And basically we're in the same place. We're essentially in the same place. Like bishop takes, pawn takes. But probably an even better version for white. Where you have an extra tempo or something. Yeah, I mean, huge advantage. Very good chances to win. It's +2. Alright, so b3 was a bit slow. Basically wasted a tempo. But I don't know, I think black should go for b5. And then be prepared to trade queens, let you on the 7th rank, and then try something desperate. But c5 looks kind of funky. I like b5 better. Yeah. This looks more fluid. I mean, the pawns are more fluid like this, and it's like the plateau step biome. You know, when you play c5, look at these pawns. Look at this. This structure, where they're like a zigzag with weak squares, or this. You know, would you rather have that or this? I think this structure where the pawns are in steps is better, probably, for black, than c5, where there's just these gaping holes here. And b6 and d6 are just weak, you know. It's better to keep your pawns in kind of adjacent to each other. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. b5, well, b5 trade queens, rook e8, check, king f7, and then what? We're going to have to sack a pawn at some point. So rook c8 or rook a8. Where should you go, by the way? Maybe I'm completely off base. You know, maybe b5 doesn't do shit. But, well, we're clearly losing a pawn. I guess I was, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe rook c8, not rook b8, but rook c8. And so we're just losing a pawn. Take, rook takes. Can we hold on? I mean, this is the kind of thing that, you know, I'm going to lose with black to Thomas Banus in a Hungarian Team Championship game. That's a draw, but I didn't play perfectly or something, you know. Is there a chance to hold this? It's right on the verge of hanging on. You know, that's the kind of, this is the kind of endgame. You like rook a8. Everybody likes rook a8 better. Everybody likes rook a8 better. But I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure. What about just a4, just losing the pawn? You know, you lose a pawn. Okay, whatever. It's an a pawn. Screw it. Have your a pawn. A pawn is, you know, it's not game over. It's an a pawn. Black has some chances to hang on here. If I'm going to lose a pawn, it better be my a pawn. I can activate and then try to somehow get active enough to salvage this rook ending. I don't know, man. It's like I'm not Carson Mueller or something. It's close, you know. I would probably lose it with black to a 2600, like I always do. But I'm really not the greatest rooking game player, as we all know, if you've been following my stream in the last 2 years. Since, like, half of the games I've lost in the last 2 years are, like, drawn rook endings. Yeah, it's an interesting ending. Anyway, this is just our first game. We got to move along. So c5. I don't like this, though, you know. I don't feel like we got any active chances there. I don't feel like this helped black. Now I just feel more like frozen than ever. Black got no counterplay. And now he has like these weaknesses here. And now a4, okay, fine. f4, wow. f4. It's fine. Black has to make a break for it, though. You have to make a break for it. The only way to defend in endgames where you're worse is by active defense. Black has to try something. He played queen c8 now. The problem is he's tied down to the rook. So the thing I'm expecting is at some point Black goes for it. Maybe b5. What about this, though? Is this lost? Are you sure? He had queen takes queen and b5. I have some serious questions about this. I also don't like f4. f4 doesn't seem right. We could do the Mozart variation where we're trading queens, right, and going in. Mozart and move 11. We're in agreement on this general idea, but it's a general idea like this. This is really bad. This looks bad. Right, exactly. This is, and that's why c5 was bad. This is why c5 was bad. Look at these pawns now. There's no fluidity. Black can't get any counterplay. You can't even play b5. But after f4, man, yeah, he has a golden opportunity. Take, and then some sort of b5. Possibly b5 right away. b5 right away. You must defend actively in endgames. I'm not sure that white is winning here. He's not. He's not winning. So we can't underestimate the power of this active counterplay for Black. The point being, like, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, rook b8, rook d7, rook takes b5, rook takes d6, rook takes b3, and it's a draw. For example, it should be a draw. But after this, Black continues to play passively, queen c8, and now it's like, yeah, he had to go for it, and he didn't, and he never did, and just lost. What about this? Is Black hanging on here with no space? He has b5, but can't recapture. King f2. What about queen a8, by the way? Wouldn't it be better to go out there? He does now. And after king g3, Black resigns. Ouch. Black resigns. Yeah. It does look bad. I mean, it's probably lost here at this point. There's no active counterplay. You're going to have to move your king, but then queen f7, queen c7. Looks really bad. Yeah, Black still probably shouldn't resign at this point yet, but right, king g6, Nigel Short, or whatever. All right, so that was an exciting Berlin defense. Yes, our favorite opening. No, I told him, like, you got to play like the Berlin declined or something. Play the 4 knights or anything. Play queen e2. I am not. We return to the teat of Daddy Bezo. Bezoe. You're spelling it like it's Hungarian or something. Bezoe. Yeah, well, I mean, it's not my fault that Bezos bought Twitch. We'll see what happens, Bob. Maybe I'll start streaming on YouTube. Bezos. We'll see what happens. I mean, I got the Kick account. By the way, guys, Sunday's stream is on kick.com instead of Twitch. If you haven't followed, please follow kick.com/Slaggy. I have to reach 75 followers there, so we still need some more. Thank you, Mr. Coffee. Second game, Uber driver. Bob, if you just create like 15 more accounts, that'll be fine. So e4, c5, knight f3. This is Uber driver with white. An old friend of ours. Mozart, I don't know if you I think I already asked you this. Yeah, you probably were after Uber Driver was already inactive at the Boylston Chess Club. E6, D4, C takes D4, knight takes D4, knight C6, knight C3, queen C7, and then G3. So Mr. Coffee might be interested in this game, as he's playing like the Taimanov type of stuff with black. So I didn't know that Uber Driver played G3. That's surprising. I've also played G3 in a few games, although I really don't consider myself to be knowledgeable. I just kind of see things and copy what I see. I remember Ivanov playing this line in the Aeroflot back in 2004 with white. I played it in a tournament in 2007 or 8 because I don't know what else to do. You know what's a really neat move here for white, though? There were no iPhones the last time I played even semi-seriously. Did you hear about this Hungarian kid? They've really covered it up pretty well, but there was an IM here, Juhas Christoph, and I found out this spring when I was playing Hara Imre Jr. that he was busted for playing in the Hungarian, and I think it was the Austrian. I don't remember if it was the Austrian or Hungarian league. I think he was playing in the Austrian league. Actually, it might have been the Hungarian league, but it doesn't matter. He was playing in both, and he was busted. Apparently, he'd been using the phone for like a couple of years in both Hungarian and Austrian team leagues. His rating was like going up and going up and going up, and he was like steadily climbing from like 2,400 to 2,500, pushing for GM. And Hara Imre told me like he's the one who really suspected him for a long time, but couldn't prove it. And then finally they got him. It was like a sting operation or something. Like they caught him red-handed, like with his phone. And he tried to like deny it, but they took his phone and it was like hot. But anyway, Hara Imre's explanation was funny. He says the thing was about the guy, like he would constantly every game like go to the toilet during the game. But the weird thing about it was like, you know how most people who are playing in a tournament game, they're taking their time. You know, I mean, they're not taking their time. Like you have to go to the bathroom. It's on your clock, so you're like kind of going quickly to the bathroom. He said like this guy would like always go to the bathroom really slow, which was really, you know, it was weird. But anyway, it's a really bad scene because actually this particular player has two brothers around his own age, and all three of them are titled FMs and IMs. And so the brothers aren't directly implicated, but it doesn't look good. You know, if your brother is like been doing this for years, like how would you not know about it? You know, like you're working closely with him. How would you not know about it? You know, um, it's just really weird. They just had an amateur tournament here in Budapest, and his brother was on board one in the last round and lost, and I was kind of happy, honestly. Anyways, all right, G3, knight F6, knight on DB5, queen B8. So I guess A6 is the main move. A6 is the main move. You would like the exhibitionist stuff, Bob. So he got banned by the Hungarian Chess Federation for like 2 years, but I don't know like if there's been any like FIDE. It seems like they're trying to like bury it, you know, or something. The Hungarian Chess Federation is not. It's not really gone out of its way to address the issue. A6 probably better. I don't like the way our queen gets driven back here particularly. So look at this: Fernandez Garcia, Jose Luis versus Sam Shankland. This is interesting. You know, this guy I find very interesting. This Fernandez Garcia guy, because here I was like thinking like the first Spanish grandmaster. Like, who the heck is the first Spanish grandmaster? Isn't that a weird question? Who is the first Spanish player to become a GM? I mean, I'm thinking, oh my God, was it like Paco Vallejo? No. Um, but anyway, this Fernandez Garcia guy is a GM. He was playing in the World Senior last year. I had never even heard of him. It's weird. I mean, how is there like a grandmaster I never heard of who's like older? Queen b8, Bishop f4, and then e5. Oh my God. Rip Sam Shanklin. Sam Shanklin in 2012 was 2581. Are you serious? Wow, and he allowed this position. Yeah, this looks really ugly for black. Pomar Salamanca. Pomar. Everybody just refers to him as Pomar. All right. Pomar. If you study like Karpov's games or whatever, it'll just say Pomar, not Pomar Salamanca. Yeah, that's a good one. So Pomar was a GM. I don't know if there's anyone else though. Until the 90s. That's the weird thing about this Fernandez guy. He's like older. Like he's not that old like Pomar, but he's not a kid, man. He's definitely not young. He's like 70. E5. Yeah, this is a really bad position for black already, I would say. Looks suspicious. You have to play e5. I don't like the look of this for black at all. Alex versus Igor, 1989. Alex versus Igor, 1989. So that was played when Ivanov Alex got off the boat, I would guess. 1989. He doesn't meet Slaggy until 1990. Iescas must have been a GM in the 80s, like late 80s, mid 80s, yeah. You're right, so Iescas would have been the first like modern era Spanish grandmaster. Right. Right. Yeah, thanks for correcting my memory. It's easy to forget about Iescas. He's so out of the public eye, it seems like. It's pretty sad if you're like making videos on ICC or something. Thought I was pathetic. But no, Iescas was like a super GM in a way. Okay, he was lucky to be in Spain and Linares to be the number one Spanish player, but he was also really strong. I mean, 2,600 when it meant something. So Iescas, right? There's a void there, like before Iescas, though, that this guy fits in. Yeah, Iescas is very well respected, but forgotten now in the modern era. So Bishop G5, this is horrible for black. This is horrible for. See, Alex played this back in '89. I told you guys I saw his game in Aeroflot in 2004. That's 15 years later. But yeah, Igor was out of it, man. He didn't know where he was here. This is really bad for black. A6 takes, classic Ivanov Fianchetto stuff. Takes, knight A3. The D5 square is pretty bad. I mean, I don't know if there's enough justification with bishop takes A3. I still wouldn't want to be black, even with bishop takes A3. But that looks like a reasonable try. That's what Igor tried. Wow, Horvath Tomasz lost with white to a 2200 in 1994. That's pretty bad, man. Ivanov's the only one to have won from this position with white. I would rather be white. I mean, my king is going to be safe, dude. White's king is going to be safe. C3 is going to control the d4 square. So I think if white plays smartly, only white should really have winning chances in this position. I mean, the queens are on the board. I don't understand how white has a losing score in this position after bishop takes a3. 97, okay, fine. But I mean, the point is like king safety is paramount. Black has to have problems because of king safety here. Where is the black king going to be safe ultimately? Nowhere, like completely. I guess white has to be smart about it though. After bishop takes f6, black can still play a takes b5. Aha. A takes b5. And that has a worse score for black though, oddly. You're right. You're right. White still retains a small advantage after bishop g5, it looks like. I admit though that does seem a bit safer for black, and ironically has a worse score with that. It's a small sample size, so so it really statistically doesn't matter. What about like knight a3 though? So this has been played. It's worth considering. This is a weird variation, huh? Okay, bishop takes f6, g takes f6, knight a3. And now d6, novelty. So it's just a bad Sveshnikov now, I would say. Knight c4 could be a problem. You know, it's like those Larsen variations of the Sveshnikov, where black doesn't play b5, and then you know you get this kind of stuff with the knight coming here. b5, knight e3, bishop h6. I'm just speculating, but it doesn't look good for black. But it's still shocking to me that white has a losing score here after knight a3. d6, knight d5. Okay, this is just a decent Sveshnikov. Now, I mean, this is a thing, no? Knight c4, the black. Does black dare to go here? Sveshnikov fans? I think preventing knight c4 is it should be considered. No? The f-pawn's hanging. Well, you're dropping your queen, Roman. Alright, yeah, that's a problem. It's not just the f6 square is hanging. Yeah, I mean, it's like, even if you played f5, probably knight f6 check is just, like, better for white. Really big, almost winning. Yeah. Okay, bishop g7. But this is horrible for black now. Black is lost. Yeah, black is just lost. He's just lost. So, wow. So d6 just loses. Okay. You have to play bishop takes a3, I guess. I wonder how Alex won. Knight e7. Igor was drinking and fell asleep at the board. Probably. In 1989. That could have been, I wonder if Ivanov had... When was St. John? It was 1988 or 1989, I can't remember. There was a tournament in St. John, New Brunswick. 97, I wanted to play. I was like 2100 or 2000 rated something. 97, and Alex played queen f3. The f6 pawn is hanging. Queen c7. This is a crazy game. But I think you see the premise. Ivanov's king is safe, you know, and Igor's is like, well, is it ever going to be completely safe? It's not clear. You know, I would rather be white here. White is like plus 0.9 according to the engine. It's hard to coordinate. Yeah, it's much harder to play black here because of king safety. So he lost. It may have been alcohol related. Igor was known for drinking and getting drunk during games. Bishop g7, knight b6, and then black decided to play rook a7. Understandable. So now Uber Driver with a brutal knight c4. Oof. You know, even like this is a huge advantage. Like white is winning. Knight takes c8. But black could sacrifice a pawn and, you know, he'll lose eventually, but it could be a little bit trickier. Yeah, this is brutal. It's over. I think black should maybe sack the rook, objectively, right? Your best practical shot here, yeah, the problem is like even bishop e6, we're just losing a rook and then losing the d6 pawn. But maybe this is better than what happened. Anything's better than what happened. Yeah, this is really bad. Okay. Ugly. Rook a7 here, it's over. Bishop e6, check. And then knight f5, check. Bishop takes f5. You have knight d5, check. Knight d5 check worth investigating, I think. But the white squares versus dark squares. Black's best move is to restrict is the effect to North Korea. I've got to ask a question, seriously. I mean, that guy is like obviously like out of his mind, but is it ever a good idea to defect to North Korea? Like I could see like defecting to Russia, like, you know, the WikiLeaks guy, but North Korea, would that ever be a good idea? Like I just shoot myself first, you know. I think it's probably. Oh, this isn't politics we're talking about. This is life. No, I don't think this necessarily fits under the category of politics, Bob. Let's see. It's just a question of how you want to die. All right. Just get it over with quickly. Queen c7. I guess he wanted to be like Dennis Rodman or something. That's what it is, dude. He just wants to meet Dennis Rodman. That's what it turns out. The guy's like a huge fan of Dennis Rodman, and now Dennis Rodman's going to get involved because we need an opening. We needed an opening for Dennis Rodman to get back into the news, you know. That must be what it's about. We'll see. I predict Dennis Rodman will be seen before the end of this. So now we got bishop c4. Queen takes b6. Queen takes. This is really ugly. And then the material grab. But honestly, yeah, rook d1 is met by knight d4. So there's no mate here. What about king c5, bro? Is this a viable option? You played knight d4 in the game. Oddly enough, I was looking into tours of the DMZ the day before that happened. Have you been considering any like packages to Venezuela lately or anything like that? You can probably do like the Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador. swing through parts of Bolivia. Yeah, this does look strong. We have queen takes here, check. And black just resigned. No, I mean, honestly, like, Ecuador and Colombia aren't that bad, but yeah, I was thinking package tours to Venezuela would be really fun. I haven't been in a while, and I really want to meet Nicolas Maduro. Oh, no, no politics, okay. Anyway. Mexico. Why bother go all the way to, like, Venezuela to get killed when you can go to Mexico? Or North Korea, yeah. Who started this whole thing? Oh, Shaki, of course. All right, guys, we're on to game 3. Anonymous player. Anonymous player against Dubrovnik. 2000. Guys, support the stream. Astrobate donating the gift sub. Don't forget to subscribe. We didn't give up on Twitch yet, so please subscribe. Oh, Sex Taurus. Well, you know, I'll put my recommendation in for Venezuela. But we don't talk about that. All right, Bob. I'm gonna be right back. Stay with me. Welcome back, everybody. So, what were we talking about? Game 3, anonymous player, illicit sex package tours. Well, Bob, you know me. I've never been to Southeast Asia, so I prefer Spanish-speaking countries for illicit things. But I can't reveal any of my secrets, not because of protecting myself, but because I have to protect other innocent grandmasters or other chess players around me. So it was up to me. I would reveal all my secrets, but I can't. Maybe someday in my memoirs. No, we're going to go back to chess here. Anonymous player versus Dubrovnik. E4, E6. I got the Berlin defense. So far we had the Berlin defense. At least we had a semi-interesting Sicilian. And then the names of grandmasters have been... Sex grandmasters have been changed to protect the identities of those deceased. E4, E6, knight F3. Yeah, I mean, you guys want to see something funny? Just totally funny, right? On another subject altogether. Check this out, right? E4, knight F6, C4. Let's do a little bit of an IQ test here. Let's test Bob, right? Let's do Bob. Let's use Bob as like a guinea pig. Because Bob is a chess expert, right? So, well, this position has been reached in 7 master games according to the Opening Explorer. This position has been reached in 7 games according to the Opening Explorer. Now, it appears this is a gambit. It even has a name, but unbelievably, it's called English Opening Achilles Omega Gambit. Now, I was explaining to Asterbait that Black's best move here is clearly taking this pawn. And Asterbait had a game where this happened where he was black, he took the pawn, and then his opponent played d3. And Asterbait, of course, played knight to c5. Anyway, this is beyond the scope of this conversation. But Bob, you're very intelligent, right? The best move is knight takes c4, I think. So Bob, can you tell us why? He's in Mensa, obviously. Bob, tell us why none of these masters played knight takes e4 in this position. I mean, if knight takes e4 clearly wins a pawn, it's the best move. Yet there's 7 games in the Opening Explorer. Bob, use your powers of deduction to tell us why none of these masters played knight takes e4 here. Let's see how long it takes him to figure it out. See how smart Bob really is. Come on, Bob. Figure it out. What's the trap, Bob? Put him on the spot. Why? How could 2 people have played this against Andrei Kovalev, the Belarusian grandmaster, and like, you know, he doesn't take it, you know, Rogers didn't take it. How could this be played in like 7 games? Well, he can develop, hold chasing the knight around, limiting Black's development. I don't know, man. Mr. Coffee, get on the line with Mensa and see if... You should get on the line with Mensa and see if they can, you know, do the same thing they did with Rudy Giuliani's, like, law license. We need to suspend Bob's Mensa membership. The answer is not that White can chase Black's development around. I think the best move after knight takes c4 is knight to c3. And this probably flies Maxima as like a bullet opening for White. The answer is that this position never happened. Dun dun dun! This position never happened, Bob. Is chess linked to IQ? This isn't about chess. It's about Sherlock Holmes type of deduction. The position never happened. That's why no one played knight takes e4. Because some idiots like decided to record the games in the database as c4 knight f6 e4 when it was like c4 knight f6 d4. And then Black played either e6 or g6. So you gotta have slaggy like Sherlock Holmes deductive skills. That's why they pay me the big bucks. It's obvious this position never happened. e4 and Black played e6 and g6 against that. Come on now. Obviously. They're just misrecorded games. All 7 never really happened like that. Somebody was recording the games and they wrote down e4 instead of d4 without paying attention to what they're doing. The explanation was totally unclear. Mr. Coffee, was my explanation unclear? Are you serious? Oh, the explanation of like what your task was or something? Hmm. It was very clear to members of Mensa. All right. Anyway, it was just like off subject, an off subject little game I wanted to play with you guys. It just goes to show you can't. What's the lesson that we draw from this? You can't believe everything you see. It's like fake news. Basically, those positions are just fake news. You know, you got to learn to recognize. It's like trust your intuition. There's no fucking way that like a master wouldn't play knight takes e4 there. So therefore, those positions didn't happen. You know, that's the only explanation. You can't trust the opening explorer or any databases to be accurate. But anyway, e6. Okay. So, how much compensation does White have? Enough for a bullet game, move 11. Um. All right, e6, knight f3. I'm not a fan of knight f3, but I play it all the time. But it's not good, you know. You only can play d4 or c4. I mean, objectively, we have to play d4 against the French. I hate it too. All right, so now d5, and I like knight c3 here. I know that it's not great objectively, anonymous player, but I think that it poses some unique problems for black that some weaker players find difficult to handle. I like playing this type of position because French players, they don't adapt well to this structure with the pawn on d4. But, you know, black can play just knight f6, and then you can play the Saji variation with bishop d3. Or you can go Nimzovich with e5, transposing back into a Nimzovich line, the two knights variation. But anyways, that's the best way to justify knight f3, I think. Anyway, the exchange variation, okay. d4, okay. And now, I played this the other day in a game on the stream here. If you're going to play the exchange variation, I think you should be dynamic and play c4. That's the best move. This is a snooze-a-thon if you don't play c4. Honestly, I don't love knight c3, but Blackburn played it. I'm not sure it was this exact position, but okay, it's better if the knight's on c3, you're playing a win-over exchange. If the knight's already committed to c3, we're doing something like, let's say d4, d5, right? Knight c3, bishop b4, and then we play exchange. So win-over exchange is a little better than normal exchange, I guess, for white, because this bishop doesn't really want to give itself up for the knight on c3. Here, 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 here. And I don't like this. This is like playing the... It's like playing the Jabava London or the Verisov. Black can play c6. This knight's going to have to transfer over here to the king's side. So objectively, you got to play the boring variation or play c4. Those are your best chances. This is just a bad square for the bishop. That's Acerbate's favorite square. Yeah, and so now you're going to end up in a situation where black's at least equal here. Trying to castle queenside. I mean, I think that black has a pretty strong counterattack on the queen side, and objectively, black should be fine. This is an issue though. Maybe you can try to play bishop f4, trade off his good bishop on d6. So it is an interesting idea. Maybe black should even consider knight e4 right away, because your queen is vulnerable here. Yeah, bishop e3 is definitely bad. Bishop g5 could have been an idea. Right. Black will probably play knight e7 or f6. This is only played in one game. Black could even be really provocative and do like queen b6. But needless to say, yeah, the idea of trading black's good bishop off is very key in the French. And of course black does the same thing with white's bishop. on f5 oftentimes. But this is a really bad square for the bishop. I mean, at least you're threatening to play bishop f4 here. See, black gets this in, and now black is threatening maybe knight e4, and then h3. This doesn't seem to serve any purpose to me. At this point, I mean, it's too late for bishop g4. That doesn't do anything. You stop knight g4, but I'm actually worried about knight e4. So h3 looks really not very productive for white. Although white doesn't have really a good plan here. I mean, to be frank, I think you might even consider playing bishop d3 at this point to fight for control of e4. Black is probably better already. Yeah. Bishop d3 is the best move. I'm not surprised. Black already has the upper hand. I think bishop d3, as ugly as it is, you could even consider taking with the pawn, because that controls a relatively critical central square. I mean, this is not out of hand bad to consider taking with the pawn to control the e4 square. You think bishop f5 was weird? Well, I wouldn't call it weird. I mean, it is like a standard sort of London system. But Mozart is saying like he thinks this is maybe better to stop the plan of bishop f4. More appropriate. Yeah. Maybe more appropriate in this example. But bishop f5 is a totally natural move. h3 here. And then this is weakening our king side. So, I mean, I think that black has knight e4. When you're hard-pressed to find a place to put your queen, I mean, you probably have to take. And now you're going to have to defend your knight. And black's clearly better. But he just hesitates and goes there. You know, this looks like a mistake. A minor mistake, but it's a mistake. You know, he misses his chance to play knight e4. And it's passive. You know, why be passive? So now white has possibly knight h4. And that's what happened. Still, he goes knight e4. You know, it's still not too late to play bishop d3. I don't like white's position, but as I said, I think this is plausible. Although you may be safer taking with the queen, the e4 square is going to be an issue. I think we have to accept that we're slightly worse already. Knight e4, and then bishop e4, and now you have your knight hanging. So it's knight g2, and that's it. Or not. Wow. So white played now knight f5. I didn't consider this. I just assumed that we had to save the rook and the knight. But you can leave the rook hanging and play knight f5. Interesting. Yeah, I like this idea. It takes black time to grab this rook, and then you're going to take away his right to castle and get a bishop. Although, I don't know what's happening, honestly. It has to be investigated. Knight takes d6 check, king f8. I mean, I really wouldn't make any assumptions about this position. My first thought is that white is down the exchange, but, you know, he clearly has compensation. Still, an exchange is an exchange. It's not nothing. The king is relatively safe, maybe on g8. White could take another pawn. I'm not sure you want to take that. There's no clear continuation. Like this bishop, that's the problem. I don't exactly know what to do. You know, you could just castle and go about your business. But for me, it's unclear. Instead of taking on h1, immediately castle instead. Immediately castle instead. Well, that's possible, but, you know, on the other hand, like, white can now do, like, rook g1 or something. I mean, the acid test, clearly we have to evaluate, regardless, if castles is a viable move for black, definitely, but I think, like, we have to come to a conclusion about this. concretely one way or the other. Is bishop takes h1. Both sides should have evaluated this. Is it good or not? You know. Oh, bishop h2. You got to move there. Bishop takes e4 castles. Sorry, bishop takes e4, knight f5 castles, rook g1, bishop h2. You have a point? Oh, wow. Yeah. So that's another exchange sack. Whoops. Good point. So that's the entire basis of your variation. So you're saying like you don't lose the right to castle, and I still have to sack the exchange. Wow. That's pretty interesting. Bishop h6. There's nothing crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a nice find. You just castle, and there's no loss of castling rights. And the rook's trapped. I missed bishop h2. Nothing special we can do. White's just gonna have to sack the exchange anyway. f3, I don't see any variations where f3 really matters. Yeah. Wow. I mean, in any case, oh, you mean like f3? No, we're hanging with check. There's like bishop g3. I don't know. I doubt f3. Yeah, the queen. Oh, I get it. You're saying like castle's f3? Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, white had a bad position to begin with, and probably white should just play bishop d3. But, he gambled here with knight h4 and then came up with a creative solution. Knight takes, bishop takes, knight f5. This is a nice move. Castles probably refutes it outright. But black was lazy and played bishop takes f5. And this is really like typical over the board or blitz or rapid or whatever. Black is lazy, doesn't want to calculate, so instead just does the simple thing. And now, I would say, okay, that's a big deal, man. I mean, now it's a question of I have open G file, two bishops. Although my E3 bishop is a octopus, I call it like the amputated octopus, kind of a code word. This whole position is now suddenly like the evaluation has totally changed. White is okay now, This is big. This is a big deal. And black should seriously think about castling queenside at this point. Like, it's time to start thinking about castle queenside, and he does. Maybe queen h4 is too much. Because that queen is real close to getting trapped, dude. Here, there's that square. But, okay, queen f6. I'm not sure I like it because it's kind of squeezed there. It doesn't have a lot of mobility, but what options do we have? Maybe queen e7. I like castling queenside. And then h6 stopping bishop g5. So that was a pretty like professional move. Castle queenside, castle queenside. Yeah, now I would have thought it was a Petrov. Bishops aren't that good here, but it's pretty symmetrical. This is sort of hope chess. What's the evaluation? Equal? It's around equal. The computer prefers white like a tiny bit. But I'm not sure, like in practice, I would necessarily prefer white. The pawn structure is kind of difficult to deal with. If you make a mistake, you could be worse in an ending or something. So you play queen a5. I'm not sure about this move, Bishop f4 you know, c3, bishop f4, trade the dark square bishop. You know, that knight looks pretty useless. Where it's positioned, it's going to have to come here or f6. So queen a5 looks weird. This is sort of artificial. I don't like this move. King b8 and then queen a4. You don't have a plan. You don't have a plan here. I don't like what you're doing. This is very bad. No. Not queen a5, probably king b1. And play, you know, play in the center. Probably play c3 and maybe white has like a tiny edge here. Yeah, the knight is really bad on d7. Queen e7 instead of knight f6. This taking this knight square away. See, I wanted to play queen h4. That would be the best. If we could play queen h4 for black, where the queen has more squares, it has more mobility. But of course there is a chance it can still get trapped, you know, bishop g5, queen h5, bishop b2. You have to be careful. Here in this particular position, black has queen e4 check. And you can do your h6 move after that. You know, so queen h4, castles queenside, h6, for example. And now maybe rook g1, when g7 is an issue. But, you know, who's to say, like, black can't defend that, just like with rook g8 or something. Rook g4, we can always go back, but Mozart's suggestion of queen e7 is safer. Queen e7 castles, and then the knight can come to f6. Yeah, I mean, I agree, this also is potential, but I agree that the knight wasn't great on d7. It never is great on b6. He has some chance to go to c4. But I don't like queen a5. Like, what is white doing with this queen here? It just doesn't look like you're coordinated. Your queen seems, this is worse than the knight in a way. I suppose white theoretically is threatening a4 a5 now. So he tries something creative though. You got to give him credit. I mean, knight c4 to decoy away from the f5 pawn. And the final result is an ending where black structure is better. It should be relatively equal with a small, maybe a tiny edge to black. d5 looks plausible. Yeah, that's best. Black shouldn't lose this position, man. I mean, black is okay here. Yeah, knight on b6. Didn't Fischer say that as well? Fischer used the descriptive notation. Fischer said knight on knight 3, right, is always bad. C takes d5, rook takes d5. Now the white squares look a little squishy, but still black should be alright. Yeah, he like got into a really bad pin. So now black has to be careful. Very, very careful. We could pin black. This is a weakness now, though. Yeah, this looks pretty touch and go. The threat of rook takes d6. Is it possible black's already in deep shit here? After just c takes d5? I mean, clearly black can play c5. But then bishop takes c5. Clearly black just lost a freaking pawn. Clearly black lost a freaking pawn. I don't believe that black, with the limited amount of material here, I don't believe that black isn't okay. What's the best move for black in this position? There is rook c8, strangely enough. This is kind of a sensitive point, isn't it? Yeah, that's what ICT said. I'm wondering about that. Oh, yeah. c5, yeah, but we need the, aha! Yeah, there's that check, though, that stupid check. Anyway. So c5 is the move. Wow. Sacking a pawn. That's pretty deep, bro. Bishop takes, rook c8, queen d6 check, King A8 and black has compensation. Yeah, well, not everyone is going to find this line and be sure about it. That's Stockfish, number one suggestion. So black loses the grip here, takes, and now getting in the pin, and now it looks shot. There's a cute tactic, isn't there? Like bishop takes a7, but also there's some crazy tactics like bishop f4, that's check. Okay. So bishop c7. Well, obviously you could simply have something based on bishop takes there. I was looking at bishop f4, but that's a check. So you had bishop takes, check, and mate. Ugh. He's actually mating him. And if bishop takes, same thing. It's over. Poor black. I mean, he was fine. What happened to him here? So it's kind of like a, not a lucky win, but, you know, black really should have been all right there. I feel kind of bad for him. It feels like he got swindled. But at the same time, he wasn't careful. I mean, Sibichess. Siberia. Guys, I've got a limited amount of time before I turn into a pumpkin. Do we have any gift subs? Anyone gift subbing today? Donations. We need a donation. Where's Uber driver? Guys, donations to the World Senior. Help me go to Sicily and take out Mickey Adams. Come on. You can make a donation to the World Senior. You'll help me to become a Grandmaster and defeat the evil Mickey Adams. You don't feel bad for black? You gotta be punished for lazy moves like bishop takes f5. Yeah, he wasn't ambitious enough. But no one should be rewarded for playing the exchange French. Although I played the exchange French in Blitz with c4. Alright, so we got Action Manning versus Acerbate. There's always Sandrita Forever with 500 bits. That's not money, those are bits. And that's not money, that's barter system. For my knowledge, you're bartering bits so I can go to Italy and take out that nasty Mickey Adams. Thank you, Sandrina. But I was talking about this earlier. I was like pissed that Mickey Adams is playing in the World Senior, because like why the hell are like 2650 players, former 2700, playing in the World Senior? But if you think about it, I was like, you know what? I don't blame him. You know, it's nice to play in a tournament where like there's no freaking little kids. Seriously, these senior tournaments are getting more and more popular. There's like a whole like series now. There's a whole schedule of senior tournaments. So it's not just that he wants to like crush a weaker field. It's like, it's really a nice feeling to go to a tournament and not play 7 little kids in a row, you know? I mean, seriously. I know there was a case like a month or two ago where Adams played in some kind of rapid and he drew a kid who was like, I don't know, 1800 or 1900 or something really ridiculous. Like a player 800 points lower than Adams like drew him in the first round of a rapid tournament or something. So, you know, clearly he's like, all right, I mean, we understand, like you're tired of playing kids. It's a refreshing thing to not do that. All right, this is Acerbate with black. D4, knight f6, c4. So I keep saying like the reason I'm playing in the World Senior is because I want to get the GM title. But to be honest, the other thing is like to play a whole tournament without playing 7 little kids in 9 rounds is like impossible otherwise, you know? It's impossible. If I go to an open tournament, I'm going to play like little kids at least 65% of the games. So it's gotten to the point where like adults don't want to play tournaments anymore. All right, c4, c5. Acerbate is black, knight f3, c takes d4. So Acerbate, you know, something occurred to me here. I think he played the same guy twice. No? Or no, we didn't get to this game. Okay. I never played Scholastic tournaments. I mean, Adams is very strong, in the openings. I don't think he is a killer instinct though. He never really, he was a natural talent, but the good thing about him is that, he does allow draws and stuff. He's not like Bobby Fischer, He doesn't care if he occasionally gives up draws to lower rated players. Um, there are more scary people. Like it would be scarier. Oh, I need to think of someone over 50, but there are more like bloodthirsty players, although most of them aren't over the age of 50. Um, Adams isn't the most bloodthirsty. C takes d4, knight takes d4, g6. So, Aspie, I told you like 1,000 times. Nobody listens to me and plays the e5 gambit. I love this gambit. This is a great line. I don't understand. Like, all you guys... Okay, you don't get the English that often to worry about it. But, what is that even called? I mean, does it have a name? Anti-Benoni variation. It's funny, this gambit doesn't have, like, a legit name. There's so many lamer gambits. Yeah, if Larry played, yeah. But Larry's Larry's thirsty, all right. Um, but not for blood. All right. I have no room to talk. So g6 from Acerbate. Acerbate is basically Larry's the one who got me drinking whiskey and beer at the same time. So I'm not going to talk about being thirsty. So g6 and knight c3, knight c6, and then this. Binder Tamash, my teammate or former teammate. Binder plays entire games. Binder is a blitz player, and he was funny. Last year in our team, he played a game where he played the entire game in like 3 minutes. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. He'll play like entire tournament games using 5 minutes on the clock when his opponent used like 90 minutes or something. It's just absurd. But this is a terrible move for white. It's just such a terrible move. I mean, it's not as bad in the Sicilian when your pawn is back on c4. It seems like it's even worse than the Marazzi. It's even dumber to do it here. B takes c, and then, if you play e4, which is like the classical way to play, the problem is the white position, this d4 square, is really weak. So you approve of e5? I approve of e5. Objectively, maybe, yeah, the gambit is strong, man. It's a good line. You're playing Larry in a classical game? You went looking for him, found him in the bar. He asked him to play the move for you. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Play the move for me. There was one time when, in the New York Open, I think John Fedorovich was playing like Larry, or no, that was playing Nick DeFermi, and he offered a draw and a note or something and left it on the table and said, "I'm going to be in the bar. I offer a draw," or something like that. All right, but no, this is interesting. This is a terrible move too. I think objectively, white has to play like g3. Vucic did this. This is sick, dude. Vucic, did Vucic go back to... The last time I saw Mladen Vucic, he was in the States. He lived in the States forever. He was living in New York. This is funny. He played Sabalo in 2012. The last time I saw Vucic was in Kansas. We're not in Kansas anymore. Back in 2003. I wonder if he moved back to like Serbia or whatever. That's weird. Vucic was like a regular at the Marshall and New York tournaments for forever and ever and ever and ever in the 80s and 90s. So G3 or E4, but E3. Sabalo passed away a couple years ago or last year, I don't remember. He was a great player. We played once. E3 is pathetic. You know, like your bishop is blocked. So the only chance now for white would be bishop e2, b3, bishop b2. So Astrobate, I think, rather than rook b8, maybe it's more accurate to play bishop g7. Because technically white could get in b3 now. Maybe. I don't know if it's good enough, but there's a possibility. Probably black is still good here. Let's say bishop g7, bishop b2, and if you try too hard, he has knight a4. Or probably he just defends it with, like, queen move. You can pile up, though. This does look problematic. It's probably bad for him anyway. Ultimately, rook b8 is okay. Yeah, that's funny. If you play bishop g7, e4 is still the best move. There's a game here. That's insane. That has to be another notation mistake. I would wonder, man, we almost have like we almost have knight takes e4 in some positions. But all right, Byron Jacobs versus Nigel Davies, 1982. Prigozhin. Rook b8. Okay, bishop d3, bishop g7, castle, castle, and he does play e4. Having played e3, what would Oleg Krivonosov do? Probably like rook b1 with the idea of b3. You know, this is probably objectively white's like safest continuation. Seriously. Black's obviously fine, but probably d5. E4, d6, and then bishop g5. So that's an interesting pawn sacrifice. I mean, the nice thing about bishop g5, the best kind of move in chess is, right? The best moves in chess are those that, you know, are like multi-purpose moves. And this destroys white's position in two different ways. So if you really want to make a bad move, you could like make a double bad move by like destroying your position by losing a pawn and wrecking your pawn structure simultaneously. Right? So this isn't just losing a pawn. He's also like destroying his pawn structure by having like isolated pawns here. Those are the best moves in chess that just destroy the position altogether. Okay, rook takes b2, queen f3, and then acerbate with knight g4. And you know what? Acerbate goes on fishing expeditions, but this isn't such a bad move. You've got the long diagonal, e7 is protected, the e5 square. I think that this is justified. You know, typical maneuver here is like knight d7, but that's more passive than knight g4, h3, and just, yeah, whatever. You know, you do have bishop c3, but I think this is fine. You get the bishop. You're clear pawn up with a better structure. And he just drops the piece, and you didn't take it because it doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Nothing to see here, folks. Oh, acerbate gets carried away. He gets fancy now if bishop takes h3. Bishop takes h3. So this is hanging. This is a fancy move syndrome. Generally speaking, when we're up material, acerbate, I think, you know, you've learned the lesson. But we shouldn't take risks and just consolidate our edge. Queen takes e4 looks like game over, no compensation. Um, oh, I didn't see rook takes f2. That's too deep for me. That's like 3 move combination. Mozart. But I guess if we're gonna sacrifice something, that does look even more. That looks even more forcing than bishop takes h3. I mean, bishop takes h3, it just takes a pawn, but it doesn't really threaten anything, which is probably its worst fault, actually. You're not threatening anything with this move, and you're not like getting the heart of position. Mozart's rook takes f2 is at the base of the pawn chain, so this is much more effective. Yeah. To be honest, I wouldn't do either. You know, I think like I would just take this pawn and be like, okay, I'm a clear piece up for no compensation. I'm not even like calculating. But rook takes f2 in a tournament game, that's probably the best move. Because the problem is white has nowhere to go. You know, I mean, he literally, rook takes, queen takes is very clear. So he has to take with the king. But I mean, it doesn't take calculation to know that like bishop d4, king e2 is not too good for white. I think you can kind of stop the analysis around here. It might be a forced mate, right? Check here, check here. I'm probably missing the forced mate. Do you see a forced mate? Maybe we don't want to let him out, though. You know, it might be better to just pile up with something like bishop here. He has nowhere to go, you know, so I think, yeah, like bishop a6 or something. You don't have to do that, ICTs. I mean, maybe not. But I mean, I'm sure this is like game over. This has to be like game over. I mean, there's nothing he can do. Yeah. So anyway, this isn't a good idea. I was worried about rook e3, to be honest, but it doesn't matter. Maybe this is a problem. You're not going to do queen takes rook, are you? You don't have any stupid ideas like this, do you? This isn't enough. You could just play queen e5, but the problem, I was worried about something like this. There might be a crazy line where somehow white is hanging on, you know. That's the thing I'm worried about. Something like this. You can't calculate, you know, don't play something you can't calculate to the end. Asterbate. Asterbate used 2 minutes for the game. Bishop takes h3. What's up with rook e3? Yeah, well, my variation is the line, and black's still winning. Rook e3, queen e5, bishop e5, bishop a3, and now apparently you're still winning after bishop g4. But I mean, dude, that's like computer winning, you know? This isn't that easy for like a 1600 player. I think it was simpler to just be up a piece, honestly. I'm not sure this is an improvement. It has to be keep it simple when you're up a piece. What's the best move here according to the computer? Rook takes f2, probably. But other than rook f2, bishop e6 is the second best move. See? Just, if you don't see rook f2, then just make a sensible move. I mean, queen takes c4 has to be up there. That's like top 4 moves. The moral of the story is don't get fancy in a winning position. Luckily, this is still good enough. You didn't play this accurately, but you're in a situation where the opponent's king safety is an abomination. And the queens are on the board. But the margin for error isn't that big. You're actually not making any progress. Wow, that's like a threefold rep, dude. Isn't this a threefold repetition? Did Asterbate allow a threefold repetition? Queen h5 check, queen h5 check. It's only our second queen h5 check. Whew, that was close. But what about white? Queen h5 check second time, okay. I thought you allowed the threefold repetition. King g1. If he plays king g2, your queen was on a different square. Casey Kasem. Okay, it's over. Mate. All right, dude. That was weird. All right, next game. Morales. Morales is not with us. Oh, by the way, thank you, Asteroid, for gifting a gift sub to Mozart earlier. I forgot to mention that. You're the second bit. Sorry, you're the second gift sub leader in history of the stream, and our number one fan. Also, Slendrina, thanks for donating 500 bits. Just keep in mind, guys, that you can follow me on kick.com/sledgy, and then the simul I'm doing on Sundays, I'm doing on Kick. Tomorrow we'll probably stream here. I don't see doing the morning stream on Kick. Really. I think we'll do tomorrow here again. Friday mornings are usually pretty good. We'll do rapid challenges at 11 a.m., 11:30. Okay, so Morales is a VIP. The Spanish guy on Kick. Unfortunately, I didn't see Antonio in the chat, so I think he's not here. He's playing black. He plays the closed type of Sicilians with white, so he's looking for the same type of stuff with black. Yeah, Bishop G2, F5. Now, this is kind of funny because actually, Morales doesn't play the Grand Prix attack when he's white, oddly enough, that I recall. Weird suggestion. The computer wants to play B3. Depth 39, Cloud? That's not turned on. It ain't no way that white's best move is B3 here. Alright. I don't know why it has this sort of buggy analysis sometimes. Like, you should keep some streams on Twitch. Yeah. Absolutely, Sundry. I'm not bailing for Kick, but I do want to get the Kick up to 75 followers to enable subscribers over there and see. I don't want to bail on Twitch. I don't want to do that. I'm not ready to take that step yet. We'll see. Bishop G2. I'm going to continue to stream on both, although not simultaneously, unfortunately. You can't because Twitch doesn't like it. Twitch doesn't like it. I was kind of wondering if I could simultaneously stream on two different computers. Like, what would happen then? I don't think that Twitch approves of that. Twitch has become like a little more and more and more restrictive, and I don't like the fact that they retain like a huge proportion of the creator content's money. I mean, we'll see. All right, E3. And yeah, you could claim it was like a different stream if like something was a little different, like exactly a different microphone on one side. Yeah, Twitch became Amazon. That's, I think, a bad direction. But this is not new news. All right. Anyway, so Morales played the Gambit. So all right, this Gambit I liked when I was playing 20 years ago, and it was not as well known. But I've told the story many times. Like, what's the oldest game in the database here? The oldest game in the lichess Opening Explorer is Lajos Portish versus Sofia Polgar, 1996. So what if I told you I had a game in 1994 against Michael Brooks. Brooks played this against me, and I was white. And I just tanked. I was like, what? I don't think it was the first game it was played. Brooks knew it from somewhere else. Brooks didn't invent this. He had seen it somewhere else. But I was so shocked by D5 that I think I spent the longest time I ever spent on a move, because it wasn't well known in those days. Everybody played like Bishop B4 or Bishop C5 or G6, And when Mike played, and he's a really good player, when he played d5 against me, I tanked for 40 minutes. It was like the time control was 40 moves in 2 hours, and I spent 40 minutes on move 6 with white. And I ended up like with an equal position, and we ended up like drawing, but I was 40 minutes behind Brooks on the clock. So after he played that game, and I almost got in trouble, I decided to start playing it with black, and I had some okay results with this. Like I think I never lost with it, but I've had some blitz games where things weren't so clear. Yeah, against Brooks, I think I took with a knight, but I don't remember. I mean, both captures are possible. The main idea is knight b4, and the d3 square is a little weak. I had one game where my opponent like allowed me to play knight b4 and knight d3 check, and that was a nightmare. Literally, white got crushed. Against Brooks, I played d3 and I gave the pawn back, and white is a little bit better in these lines. Ultimately, if you analyze, but I think, let me see, yeah, I guess pawn takes pawn, knight takes. Against Brooks, Brooks played c6. I can't remember. But anyways, it's not important. So c takes d5, knight b4 was the game. White played d3, and then I'm trying to remember if I never lost to black. Yeah, but I only played it like 3 or 4 times. The last game was Robert Torma, and that was back in like 2007 or something. And I just drew. But by then, even by that point, I realized that white knows about this line, and black's winning chances are like dwindling down to very little. White is a tiny bit better in this line. So knight takes, knight takes, knight takes, and then knight f3 is the best move. And you see there's a Kramnik game. Some people don't find knight f3. If you don't find knight f3, then white doesn't get any advantage. But apparently knight f3 is the best. So your opponent knew this. That's scary. It's a blitz game and he knew this. But I guess if he plays it, he should. So bishop d6. Castles. This is like best play by white. And now we gotta get the kingside castle going. We gotta watch this diagonal. And e4 is the main idea. I don't know. But the problem is like structurally, what tends to happen is there are some cases where white plays e4 and like you have to take on e4 and then pawn takes e4, and white has a slightly better structure. There's also the fact that black's development is a little bit behind here. So it looks like this move is only been played once in a very old game from 1999. My game was in 93 or 94. I can't remember. I have a suspicion there was a Susan, and I hate to say this word, but Susan Polgar game from 1992 where she played it, but I'm not sure. 91 or 92. But the origins of the sacrifice with d5 are unclear. It would be interesting to look it up in a really, really complete chess database, because I bet there's some game somewhere that's even older, like pre-90s. Okay, so e4, and then it's possible to play knight f6, but you gotta watch this. You gotta watch queen b3. So usually, like, yeah, this take, and now, wow, there's actually a game where Andrew Webster played this. That's pretty disturbing, man. I am not okay with this. So bishop e6 looks like a mistake because of this problem. You don't think that c6 move works? It's too much. Here. I can't remember. I thought Brooks played that against me. And that's like, I think that's where I played. I feel like this is where I played a3 against Brooks. I played queen b3. Did I play queen b3? I can't remember. I feel like we had a game like this or something. It's so long ago, though. You think c6 move works? e4. Uh-huh. e4 was played. Charbonneau lost in 2001. C takes d5. This is probably like, I don't know where he would have played Dennis Kishmatulin. Maybe it would have been the World Junior, 2001. Canada versus whatever. A3. Uh-huh. I'm not sure that Brooks played it like this. I think I played knight takes d5 probably. My game was like knight takes d5, knight takes d5, c takes d5, knight b4, then d3, then he played c6. So I think we had this position. Yeah, this is playable. This was my game with Brooks. So I played knight takes d5. And then I played queen b3 here. And Brooksy took with the knight. So this is exactly my game with Robert Torma too. So you actually see that was 2006. I said it was 2007. So at least I was close. But even Torma in 2006 knew like the best way to play it with his knight on f3. But I guess knight takes d5 isn't optimal. It's better not to trade pieces. Here, knight f takes d5. I don't know why knight f takes d5. There's nothing wrong with knight on b takes d5, is there? It doesn't matter. I mean, okay, knight f takes here, knight f3, bishop d6 here. And so now it looks like c6. Or possibly knight f6. Unprovoked. Maybe knight f6 unprovoked is best. We're going to have to play it eventually anyway. Couldn't black theoretically play queen e7? This seems to be okay. Wow, Bielek versus Varga Zoli 1997. That was the first time I played in the first Saturday. Could have even been a first Saturday GN tournament that I was playing adjacent to. Bielek was still playing in 97. That was the last time I saw him playing. He was a legendary Hungarian grandmaster from the 70s. Yeah, he was a big time like hyper modernist, like the English, all these guys. All right, so castles, bishop e6. This is probably inaccurate. E4 takes, and now knight g5 is dangerous. Takes here, knight g5, bishop g8, f4. Wow. F4 is a bit much, dude. F4. F4 is crazy, yeah. No, I mean, F4 is just insane. This is insane. Like, knight g5 hitting the bishop to knock it back. You know, that's reasonable. But I don't know, you know. The justification would be bounce back, maybe come over here. If h6, we've got knight f3, knight h4. It's like a Latvian or something, or like a Schliemann. But white's not supposed to be like trying to blow black away with some sort of attack here. You know, he's supposed to be better structurally. But f4 is insane. I mean, after bishop c5 check, what the heck is going on, dude? Isn't white like all overextended and busted? King h1, queen takes queen, rook takes, and then... I mean, frankly, white's very lucky if he's not lost here, because he's on the verge of totally overextended. And maybe that white is not lost. But that's simply, I mean, this is simply nuts. You know, f4, my god. I would be so happy to trade queens. but Morales holds off. So this is kind of a trick, maybe, because you want to hold off and play. Hope he plays knight f3. I can't imagine not playing bishop c5 check, honestly. That's the best move. Here, and then if knight f3, maybe bishop c5 check, knight g4 is even stronger. He plays knight h3. So now bishop c5 check perhaps doesn't have as much point. He goes here. Actually provoking f5. You know, you could play bishop c4 as well. Yeah, I mean, white lost their mind when they played f4. I mean, that was absurd. But I'm beginning to wonder if we didn't, like, screw up now. Now what's we got? Like bishop h5, bishop f3. What the heck are we doing? Why did we do this? We provoked f5, but I'm not sure. It looks like black's losing the grip here. I don't see that this helped us. I mean, now white could do like g4. White is going to consolidate their space advantage and then kill us here. It looks like we lost our whole edge when we missed the chance to play bishop c5 check. And now we're like screwed up. Yeah, g4 is good. Now white is better. But white's like impatient, man. g5. Wow. That's a bit much. It seems like white was like way too impatient here. Though perhaps it's sound. I was expecting maybe h4. Queen e8. Bishop g5. Oh man. You have bishop h5 now. It just wins the exchange. It's a fast game. I mean, I don't know how much compensation white has here, but it doesn't look right. But after this, I think we have some serious problems. There's no easy answer to f6. It's very possible that black is on the verge of losing now. I mean, this is pretty nasty. White's space advantage, you know, encouraging f5 was kind of dangerous by black. So this doesn't look good. We're lost. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, like, white went nuts with f4. This never should happen. You know, I mean, this is crazy. This is really crazy. After f4, you know, just bishop c5 check. I don't have any issues with trading queens. I mean, you're clearly like fine here. I mean, the only question is white gonna draw or lose in this position? This is literally the only question. So Morales, I don't know, man, a little too uncompromising there. Okay, Uber Driver, this time is on the losing side. From our tournament on Tuesday, I've got games from Schumacher, Yabatis, Saeeds, and Ujwal. That's all I have time for today, guys. So this is Schumacher with white against the very solid Uber Driver from our tournament. Oh, maybe this is the game where Uber Driver blew my chances to save first place. Okay, so classical, it's a classical Queen's Gambit. This raises a weird question, though. Now arthritis is acting up. This move order for black is a bit weird. What's up with playing knight on bd7 before castling? That's pretty rare, you know. Look at this. Castles 1,897 games. That's disturbing. Even it's disturbing to me that there's only 1,897 games in a kind of classical orthodox Queen's Gambit move order. Jeez. Did somebody like throw out half the database? I mean, it seems like there you've got to have like thousands of games. I guess they're not interested in D4 games when building the lichess opening explorer. There's literally only 3,000 games here. I mean, that's kind of sus, man. I don't know, man. Somebody doesn't like D4 clearly, but knight on BD7 is a bit unusual. I guess I want to ask a question here. What's the advantage of playing knight on BD7 versus castling or H6? In what way could knight on BD7? Oh, I know. Like Alekhine and Capablanca, right? Exactly. I mean, yeah, just classical games alone would be like in the hundreds and hundreds, not to mention like modern games. There has to be thousands of games from this position. Okay, obviously the database doesn't take into consideration games where someone's under 2,200 or whatever, but it's just when you look at E4 openings, it seems like there's thousands of mainline games. Well, the early E4, knight E4 is typically with H6, so that's Lasker variation. But I just kind of got to ask the question here, what possible benefit is there to black playing knight on BD7 before H6 or castles? I don't think there is one, you know, and there could be some chance for white. I don't know. I guess not. I guess ultimately it just doesn't matter. All right, knight on BD7. White doesn't have any way to take advantage of this, but it doesn't have any benefit for black either, from what I can see. So white decides to play the exchange variation, which I've tried everything. I mean, there is no way to get an advantage in all mainline openings, probably. Mozart, yeah, well, I think that bishop f4 has been, you know, at this point, everybody plays the Catalan, but yeah. Bishop f4 was more popular than bishop g5 for a long time, since at least the 90s. C takes d5. I think that it was like how it was played out, you know, like bishop g5 is, like you said, there's so many games between Capablanca and Alekhine that literally, yeah, like Mr. Coffee, 30,000 games. Yeah, like really. It's really weird. Why there's so few games? I don't have like something set, like, do I? I don't have anything like limiting in it. I don't have I don't have like a filter there. The database is just not complete. So anyway, what do you want? It's free, all right? But I mean, free, yeah, don't say the C base. C base. We should have a funny like thing, Mr. Coffee, like, you know how like you have banned words? I want to activate something else. Instead of just banning words, I want to have like a feature where we substitute something. Like, so when you say cheese.com, it says like, I don't know, something funny like eat my shorts. Or when you write in like chess base, there's automatic like funny comment or something that pops up. I wonder if there's any way to do that. Instead of banning words, you just like make people say stupid stuff. It would be like amusing. If white wants to play a Carlsbad structure, just exchange on move 3. You mean move 4? You mean move 4? Well, I guess you mean move 3 is a little early. Yeah. Probably move 4. Once black commits to knight s6. Right. Here, move 4. Yeah, exactly. Right. If you want to play the exchange variation, wait till he commits to knight f6, and then probably play it now. I mean, yeah, he can play the semi-Tarish type of ideas. That's the only other possibility. But yeah, I agree. That's the normal way to play the exchange variation. This is an unusual way to play the exchange variation. This probably is, ironically, like this is plausible. Speaking of Michael Adams, I don't expect him to play this against me, but he has done some stuff like this in recent past. E takes d5. I think he'll reserve that for 2600s. Queen c2. We're transposing now. Castles. I like castles because this isn't a threat. You know, I mean, black has like 98 or whatever, or does he? Well, whatever. He just plays c6. I mean, it's not a threat. I prefer. Matthew Sadler wrote a book on the Queen's Gambit decline years ago, and he advocated this move order for black. And honestly, like, I guess that was a different position I'm thinking of though. Maybe that's a different position with the knight's done on d7 already. But it should transpose. Yeah, it's not necessary to play c6. Funny though, okay, the statistics are irrelevant. I mean, 31 games is totally not a sample size. Mr. Coffee is a statistician, and Mozart plays poker, and I play poker a lot, and statistics are important. But honestly, guys, you may think it's not statistically like relevant. I mean, 74-31. There's not enough games here for these results to be statistically significant. It's odd that c6 has a much better score for black than castles, to be honest. But I would just simply make the argument that it's statistically irrelevant. Knight f8 is definitely a weird move, like Steinitz or something. Nice idea if it works. Anyway, c6 is standard. Bishop d3, castles, knight f3. So knight e2 is more dynamic. Knight f3 is standard. Now rook e8. And you see that there, like the people playing h6, I don't understand. You know, I really don't understand. The h6 thing. I told you guys I wanted to kill one of my teammates who played that crap. Cost us like 3 rounds in a team championship. But rook e8. And now Karpov played h3 here. The only thing is, speaking of Michael Adams again, there's no defense of h7, so he can't move the knight yet. Knight f8. Right, now they have to time... Yeah, exactly. Rook e8, knight f8. Now, but Schumacher just did castles. And then Uber Driver played g6, but I didn't know g6 was normal here. I just assumed that knight f8 was standard. g6 right away, but like, what's the point? Don't you have to play knight f8 anyway? Here we go again with like the weird move order. I hate h6 and I don't want to talk about it. Because it weakens black's king side. It looks stupid. But g6... I don't understand. You know, is it just going to transpose? Is there a trap, like if knight f8 you can play b4? No. I don't get it. But okay, again, is it one of these like weird Uber driver move orders that has no benefit and no negative? He just does stuff like this? Is there any way to take advantage of g6 versus knight f8? Black's not threatening anything. The plan is knight f8, knight e6, knight g7, bishop f5. I'll just tell you now. That's the plan. You trade off your bad bishop with bishop f5. Super driver being Uber driver. So g6, he's inducing h4. So it's funny, like, I bet if he had played this, like, I don't know, Schumacher would have done something normal. But dude, check this out. This is insane. He plays g6 and Schumacher played this. I'm just like face palming myself. Like, dude, are you like, seriously, a 5-year-old child watching Eric Rosen videos or something? What is that? That's just ridiculous. H4. Like, if you're, I guess if you're a computer, I would say it was, dude, seriously. It's nothing against Eric Rosen, it's the 5-year-olds who just don't think for themselves, you know? No, it reminds me, Mozart, of these guys. Like, there's this whole crew of like little kids who worship Eric Rosen and play the London system every game, and it's the same thing. It's like bishop d3, bishop f4, queen c2, c3, e3, d4. You know, castle's queenside, and then they try to attack you on the king side with h4 because the London system is an attacking opening for white, and the idea is to do a pawn storm on the king side. I don't know, man. You know, it's just like, I'm just guessing it's Eric Rosen. Eric Rosen's fault that people are doing this. But man, this move is like insane. If you're not castled, then I'd be like, all right, it's reasonable, you know. But to castle kingside and then play h4 because I want to attack down the h file or what here, you know? That's crazy. He, you know, Uber driver induced him to do this though. It's kind of funny. He practically induced him to do a crazy move. So Uber driver's like, okay, fine, you do your h4, knight f8, and then you know, Schumacher is like a blitz player. He doesn't listen to me. He just plays blitz and rapid and doesn't want to take his time. He's basically playing the London system. Okay, so this is his standard sort of Pillsbury attack. But dude, your king is in the wrong place. You should be castled queenside with your rook on d1 and then coming down the h-file with the other rook. If you want to attack down the h-file, then don't castle kingside. You know, it's very simple. So now black played this, and this is one of those funny positions where, you know, Rubinstein fell for this twice. Like bishop f4, knight takes d5, and then bishop c7 type of stuff. Tactics like that. Bishop f4, if it wasn't for the fact that my h-pawn was hanging, would be a really interesting idea. I wonder, though, you know, about this and then craziness. There's nothing here. You can't do this because if knight takes e5, I'm getting a little bit tired and I'm starting to think of crazy things. So, well, obviously with h4, now you burn your bridges behind you. Let's say white didn't play h4. Now bishop f4 would be a legit option. In fact, it would probably be one of white's best moves. And you'd be threatening to, like, you know, Rubinstein, quote-unquote Rubinstein black, with knight takes d5 and some sort of tricks like knight f7 and bishop c7 trapping the queen or whatever. What's up, Antonio? So, again, f4 is fine, but why is white played h4? Anyway, like, the last move looks too passive. Okay, let's be honest now. Let's be honest. Knight d7 looks too passive. So what do? Knight h5 instead of knight d7. I was thinking this. That's like a classic move, right? Because this is always weak. I mean, because e3 is always weak. I mean, isn't that the normal recipe? But your suggestion of knight h5 is certainly a viable option, of course. But the nice thing about knight g4 is that you could trade pieces. Okay, obviously that's okay. Yeah, white could play f3, but I mean, what's this h4 thing, you know? This is passive. This doesn't look right. I mean, why do we have like all of our pieces cowering on the back rank for black here? You know, why so passive? Um, yeah, G7. Knight H5 looks reasonable. But this is passive, and then F4. So F6 wins a piece. Not really, but it's an option. This is why I don't like people to play H6, because if you play H6, you're never going to be able to play F6. Well, I mean, it is possible to sacrifice a piece here. So, no, I wouldn't be surprised if this sort of thing was legit. But black shouldn't have played so passively. Okay, F6 doesn't look like a great move, but you got to do something. So he takes. And now the problem is this is weak, and we'd like to take with the F pawn, but H4 has been played. So he takes this way. There's this and this. So black doesn't want to do this. Black has to be very, very careful. So he does F6. Classical. Classical. We're expecting the capture and then takes, and black is holding his ground, I guess. So instead, Schumacher goes here. Totally like not so. I guess this kind of like undermines the protection of G6 in a way, setting up potential sacrifices, though I'm skeptical. Pawn structure wise, black's okay. Right. Uber Driver is gonna fall into some kind of sacrificial attack. But dude, I mean, this is like, really? Do you have to? Honestly, I'm not calculating anything. I want to get the pawn on e5 or something. You know, this pawn on e5 looks really weak, and if I get rid of that, I feel I'd be more relieved. Honestly, black has a lot of possibilities here. I mean, there's bishop g4. Is white gonna sack and then sack on g6? Is this really gonna happen? Like rook takes, bishop takes g6. And then, you know, you got to ask yourself the question, like, if ancient aliens really exist, white's structure is so messed up that, like, you could honestly be down 2 pawns and probably black is okay here. You know, you could just, like, not take on g6 and probably black is okay here. Because white's position is so compromised structurally. It's like, yeah, it's unbelievable. Look at this. Exactly what I'm saying. It's like plus half a pawn for black down 2 pawns. Exactly. Like white's structure is so gone. My instinct is that bishop takes h4 is an extremely greedy move. This isn't necessary. You know, this looks, maybe it's good, but it's a little on the greedy side. So if something explodes, you know, but it's probably okay, to be fair. Bishop takes h4, bishop f8. Okay, we gotta get rid of the dark square. Rook takes f8, takes, yeah, and now you just don't take. It's that simple. Just don't take. You're committing suicide, you know, here. He takes on g6, and why? White has at least a perpetual. Yeah, black's fine. He just shouldn't take. So Uber Driver assumes that it's a draw, and he's happy. Oh, I got a draw. Yeah, the structure is really shot. This looks. I'd rather be black, honestly. I'd rather be black, even if you have to sack h7. So he just assumes it's a draw, and somehow he loses. Let's see. Check here, here. Admittedly, it looks hard for white to make progress. Don't we have rook takes f8 and queen h5 check, though? Oops. Oh yeah, he's just dropping a piece. So this is worse than we thought. It just loses a piece. Man. And yeah, this is bad. Yeah, it's just totally unnecessary. Rook f6 is probably better. Oh, this is a nice cheapo. No, sorry, you got that. Uh-huh. You got a nice cheapo there, sir. Rook there. Yeah, it's ugly. If you're going to grab the pawn on h4, Uber driver, I'm going to have to suspend your license. No, that wasn't the losing move, though, you know. Maybe f takes e5 was possible. Bishop takes g5, queen takes g5, queen f2. The dark squares, yeah, it's just... I like black all the way, honestly, until he committed suicide. It was an unsound coffee house attack for white. H4 is garbage. But, you know, good for like 3-minute blitz or something. Alright, I tell it like it is. Yabatis playing white. This is a game I went over. Did I see this game? Actually, maybe not. Alright, maybe. I only saw a little bit of it. Yabatis likes to play this funky opening, like a reverse Nimzovich. I've been doing this for fun in anonymous games here and there. I do want to make a statement that I have a new student who's like unrated, okay? For example, and it's just amazing how much theory that people know. Now you take my student is FIDE unrated. He played a 1200 FIDE opponent, and they played like a very theoretical variation of the Petrov in a tournament, international tournament that was FIDE rated. So you got like unrateds playing 1200s who know, 15 moves of theory or 10 moves of theory in the Petrov or whatever. I think it's time, when you see that kind of thing, it's time to give serious consideration to teaching people to play offbeat openings, because there's a lot of value in this. We play something unusual. Suddenly our 1200 opponent who knows 10 moves of theory in the Petrov doesn't know a thing. You just play chess, and I mean, this has always been an idea. That's the basis for I guess, unusual openings and chess 960. But I can't underemphasize. I can't, let's say, overemphasize the importance of this idea that playing offbeat openings might be beneficial. People just don't seem to know what they're doing chessically. They may have just memorized 10 moves of theory. They don't necessarily understand the opening. So I think there's a lot of value in stuff like this. That's why I've been playing a lot of offbeat stuff like d3, a3 with white. All right, so basically we have closed Sicilian-ish type of thing, and then c6. All right, c6. It's like a Philidor Pearts type of setup for black. Maybe b5, b4. Also, it's not an unreasonable move. Now f4. So black's going to play in the spirit of the Pearts. Oh, I think Alexa just started talking from the kitchen. That was weird. I heard this voice. I'm like home alone, and there's this like weird voice. I triggered Alexa somehow. Through the door. Clear in the other room. I hear this like, whoa. Alexa, order Domino's. Alexa, order Domino's. Sorry, we don't have Domino's here. No, I don't know what she said. That's funny, though. I said the word Pearts. Alexa's going off in the other room. Alexa, shut up. So, is that not PC to tell Alexa to shut up? All right. Anyway, she distracted me. I was gonna say there's something unholy about playing e5 here. The basic idea is that in e4, e5 openings, the first player to break against the structure has like a built-in advantage. So when you play e5 in the same position where white already has the break, you understand what you're doing. You're like giving your opponent a good position. Hey, play a classical structure where you already have a good break against my center. That's not a good idea. The correct answer is, continue to play hypermodern chess with something like g6, or maybe try something on the side with b5, or spike white in the center. I mean, if anything, like d5 is probably, although you wasted the tempo, I think there's a case to be made that d5 may be better than e5 in this position. Probably neither of the above, but if I had to choose between e5 and d5, I'm not sure, which one is better. So black plays e5, knight f3, and then black doubles down on stupid, right? So another strategic idea that a good Vienna, right, exactly. A good Vienna for white. Um, but doubling down on stupid strategically. And what we're talking about now is when you have e4, e5 positions, basically, white is committed to a light square pawn structure. Black is committed to more or less dark square center. Black's bishop on the dark squares is a bad bishop. Black's light square bishop is a quote unquote good bishop, and vice versa. So this is my good bishop. This is my quote unquote bad bishop. The point is, like in classical e4, e5 positions, bishop g4 is rarely good. It's rarely good, but it's extra stupid here in this position because I need to develop my bishop anyway, and this is the only square I can go to breaking the pin. So you've literally like developed your best minor piece to g4 with a non-effective pin, and it's a complete bluff where you can't trade your bishop off because it's just too vital to black's position defensively. It's just strategically moronic, Bishop e2, and now, well, this didn't happen. Honestly, I like bishop e2. But there's a case to be made for, it's not clear what the best move is. There's a case to be made for Yabatis' move. h3, and we keep the bishop back for later. I think they're both good. Okay. So takes, queen takes. The question is, like, is this queen badly placed? Will it get in the way of our bishop? Maybe our bishop will go to g2. And the queen in the Vienna, sometimes can go to f2. I mean, that's often a problem, like boing, right? But black doesn't even have that. Black's only chance in this opening is to counter in the center. So bishop e7 is passive. And then I don't really like what Yabatis did here. He plays f5 right away. But I suspect that's not our best option. It's almost never best to release the tension. h3 and queen takes f3 is probably okay, but I would want to like develop and keep tension. Try to encourage black to maybe cave and take on f4. Oh, white is way better. Yeah, I mean g3 is. I would think like in most cases, if he was being more patient, Yabatis probably would play g3 here. And honestly, like g2, the bishop is hemmed in, but you might be able to play h4 and bishop h3 later. It's a great defender too. Mozart's suggestion of bishop e3 is reasonable. But this looks very committal. And then black, black has one main idea. Like assuming like nibbling at the pawn structure with g6 is probably not a great idea. Black really wants to play d5 to counter in the center. And I think this is a problem for white. And that's why we don't want to play f5 too early, you know? White might be okay here, but I don't think this is optimal. Black can now play for bishop b4. If we take, he takes back with the pawn. If bishop g5, he has counterplay with like maybe this. So I would imagine like the whole game is in a state of flux now. I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, f5 is bad. It's too committal, too early. So black hits in with d5. Yeah. So now we can't do yeah, d5 is good for black. This is a good move. And now white realized, you know, that he can't play bishop, or he can't play pawn takes pawn, or pawn takes pawn is bad, I should say. So he plays this. This isn't great, but it's okay. And now I don't know what black should do. I don't like d4. h6 is a useful move to prevent any kind of bishop g5, but that seems unnecessary. Probably knight a6, I guess, with the idea of knight c7. Yeah, that's true, Mozart. You could blockade on the dark squares. I would assume knight a6, knight c7. So here, this is kind of artificial. Queen b6. I expected white to castle queenside, but that's not obligatory. We do have to defend the b2 pawn, I guess. I guess not. He plays bishop b2. I am a little concerned about our structure melting down here. So on queen takes b2, it's not just losing a pawn, but our c2 is falling. So after this is pretty messy. Maybe it's okay, but I don't trust it for white, you know. Let's see what the engine says. Well, knight a6, our favorite move again. The engine doesn't trust queen takes b2. Queen takes b2. Rook b1. Wow, it doesn't want to take this. Oh my god, the queen is trapped. Holy shit. Wow. That's a neat idea. I don't think I've ever seen this queen trap. That looks familiar, Spectacular Camel. Did you see this queen trap? Because I don't think I've ever seen a single example of that queen trap. I'm not playing these closed Sicilians before. I've never seen this exact queen trap. That's pretty cool. I thought, oh no, there goes your structure. But you have the handy dandy bishop d1, which refutes black's position outright. So that's a pretty neat idea. Here I was suggesting castles queenside. But now d4. Okay, so this is a major transition now. Black takes pressure off. White center, we have knight d1. And bishop b4 can be met by c3 if needed. It's like take as needed. But dude, you played knight a4 here. I mean, dude, that's really creative, but I've got to say, like, I think this is a bit extreme. I like knights on the side of the board as much as the next guy. But I mean, seriously, why would you not play knight d1? I mean, you have very good regrouping here with knight f2. It's totally okay. I would think, like, normally you would have played this game differently. Okay, knight a4 is pretty bizarre, with knight out on the side. I mean, clearly it's not, like, trapped or anything. But I just don't really recommend it. I just don't recommend fianchettoing my knights. Since the last time I did it, the times when I have fianchettoed my knights, I can count on, like, one hand, and I really have very bad memories of them. Once against Adrian Casillas, I did it at the Boylston Chess Club, and I got crushed. And the other time I drew, like, a very suffering kind of game against Serper in a Nimzo with a knight on b7. So knight on b7 has been my, like, go-to fianchettoed knight. I had better results with knight g7. Personally, though, I try to stay away from knight b2 with the white pieces. I normally fianchetto my knights only with black, under pressure. I don't generally, like, recommend it with the white pieces. So b3, knight a6, and then, of course, a3, keeping key control of the dark squares. Castles queenside. Yeah, this guy is... Yeah, he's afraid of your attack on the king side. It's an interesting question. You know what I would do if I were black? I would say like, okay, maybe I would play h5 here. That's interesting. Or maybe Mozart's suggestion of h6, and if you try to go for the push, we have blockading chances with knight h7. Although this is gonna be an issue. Would Petrosian play h5 maybe? I think there's some value in keeping your options open. Black was clearly afraid to castle into the pawn storm after a3. I think that explains him castling queenside. But I think he may be best served by not committing one way or the other. Okay, castles queenside. He may think he's safe. And c3, I admit, like doesn't look like a great break because he has such good control here. But anytime you put your king on the opposite side of the opponent's king, you're creating a dynamic situation. You have b4, b5. So the fianchetto knight. And now he nibbles. Nibble on your king side. How's your light squares, bro? How's the light square bishop doing? Oh, you don't have one. Okay. So that's not going to be that effective. What are you going to do? Like take on f5? I mean, I'm scared. So that's really not a great idea. g4, king b8, and then you play g5. Again, my take is that you were impatient earlier as well. I think here you should be patient. This is a really nice move, knight c4. I'm not sure if it's good though. But you have lots of nice traps. On b5 you can choose between like bishop a5 or the nasty knight takes e5 with the idea of bishop f4. So I think this is... It's hard to resist playing knight c4. Admittedly, like he could probably move his king again and maybe kick it off of c5, c4. But in a lot of lines, his queen is going to get trapped as well. Instead of g6, black should play like knight d7 or something, probably, objectively, to secure e5. So g6, g4, king b8, g5. I think you rushed a little bit here, but you have a good position. The bishop's not covering that, though. It would be nice if we moved our queen and we could just rip his knight on h5 and destroy his structure. But alright. f6. Yeah, we did see this. Okay. Queen g2 now. And now you're threatening to devastate his pawn structure. He plays h6. You take. You destroyed his pawn structure. But it may not be that clear. h4. Now I was expecting him to take on g5, but he doesn't. He goes for this. Okay. Castles. Yeah, I don't know what to do with your king here. You actually might be safest on like e2 or something. I mean, I guess this is an issue, but I still think your king is relatively safe. On the white square, in the middle of the board, guarded by that chain. You may literally be pretty safe here. Okay, castles, knight e6, rook f5, takes, and now you've got to be careful, but I'm not exactly sure what you're threatening. Maybe knight f4. He plays this, and then you play knight c4, and now his pawn is going. Gone. h3, queen h2, triple attack. So it's gone. That's just a central pawn, nothing important, right? Bishop d6, knight d6, queen d6, and then, oops, you lost the central pawn. Queen e5, rook e5. So objectively, you're winning here. Now he's just lost his central pawn. His other pawn is pushed up too far. g5 is well protected. You just won in a nice way, though. h2, king h2, here, rook f1. And then on rook h5, you sack the exchange. This is cute. You know, this is really cute. But those pawns, f takes, f7, and then g6. No stopping those pawns. Another queen. So it was an interesting game. Knight a4, really, that's a creative decision, man. I mean, I would not have played that move. Let's see what the computer would do. See, I've been hanging out with Stockfish too much. I don't know. It's rude to just like prove you wrong, but no, I'm not gonna criticize you for being creative. I never want to criticize people for that. I do think this is the better move though. It's more principled to play knight to d1. It's also, I think, important that the knight has a future. If there's a pawn in f2 or something, then this would be a completely different situation. If we didn't have access to f2 square, I'd say knight d1 is oftentimes dubious, but we don't want to fianchetto if we don't have to. Okay, next game, Saeed's. Guys, we got to get through these last two games. Please support the stream. Don't forget the telethon. Guys, we're up to 432.5, but we need you to push us over. We haven't had a donation for the World Senior in a long time. How am I going to beat Michael Adams without your support? World Senior Sicily, October, November. We're up to $435.50. Do I hear 450? I should hire like somebody to do a telethon with me. Do I hear 450? 450 going once. Okay, Saeed's, you're playing black. Correct? How you beat him at all? Alright, I'll draw him. Your support will help me draw Michael Adams and then draw my way to the winning of the World Senior Championship. You're white. Okay. How will you beat him at all? Thanks for the vote of confidence. It's been a while since I beat a Grandmaster. Last year, to be exact. I have no GMs this year. It's been a slow year. Your support will help a member of the Gulag to take care of him. A member of the Gulag. Guys, please donate and support the stream. You can donate on Streamlabs or PayPal. Much appreciated. Alright, so B3, Acerbate's favorite new opening. And then black deals the London system defense. I hate the London. I hate the London. Here's the London, London down a tempo for black. E3, and then E6. Knight 3, and then knight D7. Very standard. So now we have a question. Well, if you want to be like Yabatis, you could play bishop D3. That's a creative solution. Speaking of Spectacular Camel, he's been known to do that. Bishop E2 is standard. Like, your move is totally standard. This also is not silly. You have to watch. Here's a Leon Levaich game. It's amazing he was 24-64 even back in 2017. But okay, knight c5 threatening to come in here. I looked at lines like this where we just ignore it and let him come in, and then if he does this, we're chopping and then this knight e5. So it's not even so good for black. c4 is an option. d4 is kind of insipid, honestly. It just looks like kind of a lame Kolykotnowski. Maybe even bad to have the extra tempo. I don't think he could be bad to have the extra tempo, Saeed's. But, Yermolinsky talked about this in a book he wrote like 20 years ago. Alexei Yermolinsky said, and he had some examples about it in his book, I think, that the extra tempo is just not as much of an advantage as you would think, You could also, though, I like the double fianchetto. I always like the double fianchetto. So I think G3 is fine. I really like the double fianchetto against the London, in particular. I don't remember. It's some kind of chess strategy, but Yermo's only written like 1 or 2 books at the most. So, it couldn't be hard to find it. I forget. It was some kind of chess strategy book. It's not like he's written a lot of books. You could easily find it based on his name. Um, yeah, I mean, there might be some rare cases. All right, so bishop e2. I like c4. It's dynamic. But objectively, the position is equal. Okay, we're just playing with an extra tempo in the London. On the black side of a London with an extra tempo. Grande Zuniga, it's unbelievable, man. That's unbelievable. Grande Zuniga was 26.99 in 2016. Are you serious? I don't trust this database, man. Grande Zuniga, Julio Grande Zuniga was 26.99 in 2016. Isn't he like 8 years older than me? That's hard to believe, dude. That doesn't seem right. Maybe it was 25. Jesus. Really? Wow. Okay, c6. C takes d5. See, this is kind of unnecessary, this exchange on d5. Look at the statistics here. It's like ridiculous. The lichess opening explorer. Laka probably had this position 1,000 bullet games. With which side? With white? Oh, okay, yeah, because of b3. It's like white's score is negative in this position. How is that possible? Okay, because nobody plays it. Nobody really plays b3 a lot. Good players don't play it a lot, I guess. Right. Yeah, he's playing b3 all the time, I know. I mean, white it's equal. It's an equal position. It's a totally standard London where the extra tempo doesn't really matter. But there's no way that white is worse here. And black is not castled yet, so I like d3. There's always this issue, though, when you play this hedgehog type formation, that if you put your knight on c3, it's in the way of your bishop. So I've literally played black where I had to play like knight c6 and then play d3 and then pull the knight back to b1 and go to d2. So, I mean, maybe it's best not to put the knight on c3, objectively. d3, but I don't understand, whether exchanging is beneficial for white. I need to see, why we're playing c takes d5. I understand playing c takes d5. That's crazy that's his peak rating, Mr. Coffee. At what, he hit his peak rating at age 57? Or something? He's from 67, exactly. So he's 56. So you're telling me he hit his peak rating at 50? At 26.99? That's fucking insane. So the guy literally hit his peak rating at 50. And we thought there was rating deflation. Jesus Christ, that's insane. Okay, Granda's always been he's always been a special player because he's very unique and has he's famous for natural ability and not knowing a lot of theory and stuff. So he doesn't go in a conventional box, but I still think that's pretty incredible. Why capture on d5 unless you have to? I think that the conventional logic here is that if black's threatening e5, then we exchange on d5 before it comes in. Right. Kind of like Igor Rassis. Yeah. Igor Rassis, who he peeked in the bathroom. He's like Bob. You know that meme where Rassis is sitting on the toilet with the phone with his socks rolled down or whatever? Can we get a Rassis meme? Yeah, I played him back in middle age when he was 2450 Mozart. So c takes d5 early, and if you play this, you just offer a draw immediately. If my opponent plays this, I vomit on the board. I just offer a draw now. Okay, draw. I offer draw. If they do that, I'm just gonna puke all over the place. Look at Levaich has a game against the Mari Zovko, who did this with black. That's number one reason not to play c takes d5, honestly. I'll just puke as soon as I see that. I don't care if my opponent is like 2150. I'm offering a draw immediately. I just want to go home. Okay, e takes d5, d3, knight c5. I'm sorry, bishop c5. Bishop c5 is kind of weird. Drazic played this. Bishop c5 is kind of weird, but it also kind of makes sense. It's like a smart move. You're anticipating white playing for e4, and then your bishop will cut this diagonal. That's kind of deep. I mean, most people are going to play like bishop e7, which is more passive. So maybe bishop c5 is not so stupid. You know, this is kind of a smart move. Black's actually anticipating e4 when this bishop will be strong. If black captures the c-pawn, you just, like, you know, either offer him some money to, like, lose the game or just offer a draw. Yeah, I don't know. I guess knight on d2, but it's pretty gross. It's really, really bad. That's disgusting when they do that. Castles, rook e1. Yeah, I don't know about move order. You're gonna want to play a3 here at some point. I think rook e1 is okay. Like Mozart said, Naka probably has a million games here. The way you played this is classic, though. I would do the same thing. You protect against sacks here. If it was like an Eric Rosen student, they would probably like play knight g4 and try to do some kind of like sacrifice on the pawn chain. But that's my joke. Like everyone is, they're usually castled queenside. All right, queen c7. Yeah, something fishy about that move. That's the first fishy move black has played. So that doesn't seem right. But he was afraid to put the queen here because your rook is on e1. Maybe black should play a5. It's pretty standard. You're not sure about bishop f1? Well, I mean, you know, it's normal. They're both possible. I mean, I think I like bishop f1 Mozart because, like, we're normally trying to play e4. But maybe in this position, yeah. I mean, maybe with this bishop on c5. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. I think, to be honest, like, both are possible. But I would play a3 first. In any case. I don't think that he's really going to sack here. The question would be, like, after something like this, would this be a viable sack? Yes. Probably this is a threat now. And we have to defend against it. But I think a3 first. But I don't think either move is bad, to be honest. I played a game just like this the other day. But yeah, we have to be careful that e4 might not be viable necessarily. And then rook c1. I don't like the way white is omitting a3. That could be a problem. When you play rook c1, for example, what if black does like queen d6? I guess this particular position may not be good. But this type of idea, and the a5, a4, this exact example, maybe this is kind of artificial. I don't really like queen c7. In fact, I have a suggestion. So, if you don't like queen e7, I have a game with Alex Kallichstein years ago. I remember where he did something like this. This is what Kelleher would do too. We had games like this in Kelleher would play the London against me in Blitz all the time. When Bill wasn't wanting to play e4, he would just do the London. And so queen b8, right, instead of queen c7. The rook anyway is going to activate with a5, and you could set up like a battery with this here. I think queen b8 is better. Better than queen c7. Queen c7 is a bit artificial, but I don't know about rook c1 either. You should play a3, and the classic setup is like queen c2. Like playing for e4 if we can find it. But it's a tense game. I mean, usually they have the bishop on d6 and they're just swapping all the pieces with like knight e5. So this is not a situation where it's easy for either player to trade pieces necessarily. But I think what you normally want to do is play queen c2 and then use this diagonal. So What I typically would do, Saeed's, would be to play this. What did he do? Oh, you did rook c1. So a3, a5, queen c2. That's what Todorovic played. See, there's a game here. And now Jovanovic, whoever that is, it's not Jovanovic the Grandmaster, played bishop d6. And this is what I'm saying. They're swapping all the pieces through e5. What I tend to try to do is oftentimes queen c3 using this diagonal. Or maybe bishop c3 with the idea of queen b2. Sometimes you can try to use that diagonal, but it's tricky. It's not easy. Black might even be able to play b5 or c5. Kamsky will do like c5. Kamsky has a scheme where he does, like with white, he does c5. His queen won't be on c7. It'll be on like e7 or whatever. But the Gata will do like c5 to prevent d5 and b4, and then he'll do a4. He did this against my friend Bokrosh, where he did like c4. This is with reverse color. c4 followed by a4, c5 or c4 followed by a5, and then he broke Albert's queenside with the structural thing, c5 a4, and he eventually was able to play a4, and Albert's queenside caved in because he got an isolated pawn on a3 or a6 with black. He was playing black against Gata, and I don't remember where it was, but some kind of tournament. So you've got to watch for that. They could try to pull that off, but I don't like the placement of the black queen on c7 isn't right. You know, this is normally bad. You could even consider your other rook over here, but I guess you do have to keep your king side protected. Alright, so anyways, you did rook c1 here, g3, and then this is pretty crazy. You know, it's Schumacher. This is the Eric Rosen attack. Here we go again. This is so typical, man. This is exactly what they do, except usually their king is on like c8 in this position. And they're getting like destroyed by like, it's a good thing he didn't put his king on c8. Yeah, h5 is pretty insane. Queen c2, knight e5, and then after starting an attack, now we're going to suddenly start swapping pieces. Knight e5, bishop e5, bishop e5, rook e5, and, you know, honestly, I'm sorry, but I don't like that queen on c7. It's just stupidly placed. He should take with the queen. You're better now. You're a little bit better now. Structurally, you have the queenside. Yeah, you have the queenside minority attack. Now you're the one threatening to break up his queenside with maybe d4, b5. Exactly. But this is risky because now the e4 square, you've got some weaknesses around the king side. I'd rather not do that. Don't you have a tactic here with knight d4? I think this might be winning. White had knight d4. Yeah, White had knight d4 earlier. I agree. Mozart's right. Like, there were lots of times you had tactics here. The idea of knight d4. That never should place the queen on c7. Well, it's this knight b5. You know, you've got knight b5. I'm not sure about the exact details of this. Can you play this? Maybe it's not working tactically. It's possible it doesn't work tactically in this position. But you have it now for sure. Now it's definitely working. All right. But he should never have his queen on c7. There's no question. Now this is really strong. It looks like this. Because if bishop d7, you have knight takes c6, bishop takes c6, b5. I mean, this is like the minimum with like a massive structural advantage. Maybe you don't win material here, but black's much worse. Um, this is a little bit risky because you have some weaknesses in your king side. But I guess this is a mistake by him to give up control of d5 allows you to play b5. He shouldn't allow you to play b5. So maybe he has to do something else. I don't know. But he's worse now. And this is very clear advantage for you. Why give up the file here? Well, I see maybe this. Okay, it's not so clear, but white is better. You're clearly better here. I don't really like losing control of the open file. 95, queen d6, so it didn't matter. But he could have played queen c7. No. Okay, this was good then. So this was good then. You were fine. Why not rook c1? Now he plays f6. You just have to be careful. It might be safer to play knight f3. I'm not sure. I am a little bit concerned about your king side. Your king side. Maybe knight f3, bishop g4, knight d2. Might be a little bit safer to try to trade off that knight. It's an option. So if you play knight f3, you stop h4, then he plays g5, then you play knight d2, let's say. And now it's too slow. He can't kill you with a direct attack. I mean, there are some threats, but I'm skeptical of black's attack here. He just doesn't have that many pieces to attack you, and you can just simply go on the open file. I think that white is still a little bit better. This is a good idea to trade queens. And he shouldn't trade queens, but if he has to trade queens, that's a problem with his pawn. So now you're definitely better. The file is important. He plays a5, and you know, I don't know that white is winning, but white is slightly better. Yeah, I mean, he has isolated pawn. Yeah, it's true, but he also has a queenside majority, and maybe it's like you're not winning just because he has an isolated pawn. Why not just take on h4? Really? Wow. That's a gutsy move. Black has to go crazy, Mozart, I guess. Nah. I don't know. g5. I mean, there's stuff, you know, there's stuff. It's not clear. I mean, I don't blame white for not taking the pawn. I applaud you for your open mind. We shouldn't dismiss this as a possibility, Mozart. I mean, it controls the g5 square. That's a good point. The knight has nowhere to go. I think that's the key with g5. No, not just stuff. You're right. We are threatening to win a piece with f3. This is a serious thing. This is really the justification of pawn takes h4. No, this is a very concrete concept. I didn't realize how concrete this really is. He has no squares to move his knight to. He probably has to think about freeing up the d6 retreat. That's an exceptional move, though, you know. I mean, it's a safe way you played this, by trading queens. Yeah, now you're better, but winning is probably pushing it. Check here, a4. I'm not sure if you want to fix that pawn on a4. It's a risky decision to put your pawn on a4 on a light square. I understand why you played it, but objectively, you should probably just play like bishop a6 or something. You could drive his rook away from its ability to support this pawn. I don't like a4. This is definitely like very awkward. So now you've messed up. You do have a lot of weaknesses, on the white squares that compensate for his isolated pawn. And, his bad bishop isn't that bad. That's the thing. Was this like time pressure? So if rook takes f6, king g7, rook d6? I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Bishop e5 is a good idea, but I thought bishop a6 was cute. Time pressure of my opponent. Yeah, well, don't rush your opponent in time pressure. Is there a reason you can't take that pawn? Wow. You're still better with the Whole Foods pawn structure. G4. And now you made like the worst move of the game. King E1? Why E1? I mean, either you go to F3 or F1. I guess it's a little harsh to call it the worst move of the game, but why E1? I would think like F3, King G3, or King F1. I mean, I guess maybe it doesn't matter, but King F3 looks pretty good, no? King E1 instead of E2 was winning after G4? Wait. When? King E1 was winning because it won't be checked later on? That's impossible to see, really. I thought you're winning here. Maybe it's a draw? Maybe it's a draw, but it's not an easy draw for black. I would assume you should get behind his pawn here. Now you win a pawn. Oh, I see, but he has a3. Oh my god. Wow. No, this is dangerous. You played rook... Wait, you played rook c6 here? When you could have taken the pawn? With rook takes d5? There's no way you're losing this position. Maybe black has a draw somehow, but it's far from easy. This may have been playing too fast to your opponent's time pressure, but now, yeah, you obviously have to stop this. So now you have to play rook a5, and it's like a draw probably. This is just a mistake, and then you're lost. Okay. Yeah, there's no way. That's just unfortunate. You shouldn't rush your opponent ever in their time pressure, unless it's sudden death. And sudden death is different, of course, if there's no increment. But even then, you have to be careful about it. If there's any kind of increment, you never ever play through the opponent's time pressure. This is Ujwal. Submitted a game against an FM. This is a simul game. Bishop e7 is kind of unusual, but it's solid. Yeah, looks solid. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We're gonna stream tomorrow on Twitch, and then on Sunday on the other site on kick.com/slaggy. Guys, don't forget to follow on kick.com. We need more followers. So if you haven't already, just follow. It's free. Kick.com/Sladgy. Guys, help me get up to World Senior 450. We're up to 432.5. We've been stuck there for a while. All right. Castles. So this is going to transpose to a Queen's Gambit. And now White played an interesting and unusual move order, Queen C2. I'm not really well versed in this particular position. I've never played, to my knowledge, Queen C2. Black can take the pawn on C4, I would assume. Or Black can play knight on BD7 and transpose to a Rubinstein variation after E3 and C5. C4, C5 is possible. Aha! Yeah, I like that idea. That's interesting. This pin is not very effective. C5 is possible. And so D5 is not an issue. That's interesting. Now White's best is knight C3. If CD4, knight D4. And what would we do now? A6 or something? And that transposes to some weird line of the English. All right, interesting. Good suggestion, as always, from Mozart. Anyway, we transpose to Queen's Gambit, and then Black plays B6. So, can you take on D5? And if you do, can you take with a knight? This is my big question. Samor husband Jorge. Wow. Jesus, 1996. That must have been like U.S. Junior or something. My God. Wow, 1996. That's old. You guys are stuck on move 4. What? I'm on the Wong window again. I'm on the Wong window. Wong window, sorry. Oh my God, what did I do? I went to the Wong window and then I closed the Wong window. So, no, we're good now. Okay. We're good now. So I'm saying C takes D5. I'm wondering about. But you played this now the horror. Now you transpose to a Tartikover variation, but Black hasn't played H6. So the fact that Black hasn't played H6 could hurt him. So this type of thing may not work because of bishop takes C4 or what? What about D takes C4? No one has played that move. Clearing the diagonal. I always find this very annoying. They give up that. Anyway. Yeah. There's also this type of stuff. I had this one blitz game with a Greek GM who did something like take and castle queenside. But I'm not sure right away. There's a lot of different ways we can play here. Black normally has H6 in the Tartikover. So this is pretty weird. Bishop B7, CD5, ED5, and now Black has not played H6. So he's going to lose the full tempo now. Bishop D3. Oh, you can play knight on BD7. He could have played knight on BD7. This is better, I guess. So as not to lose the tempo. Then our favorite move, H4. But H4 is okay if you're not castle king side. Just if you're out there, I would consider it, But don't do it after castle king side. So h6 and then h4. Oh boy. It's like the theme of the day. This I like better than Schumacher's version, though. At least white isn't castled kingside here. This is inspired, at least. Yeah. I mean, if it was my game, if this was like a serious game against a good player, I wouldn't play h4. What would I do here? Yeah, why don't you just play like a minority attack? I mean, bishop takes f6 is normal. Bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, b4. I have a lot of games like this. Maybe this is a problem here. If this is a problem, if c5 is a problem, maybe we have to play a preparatory move. That's an issue then. That's an issue. I mean, you can play b4, but okay, he's gonna play c5. This is critical. bc5, bc5, rook b1. Yeah, typical sort of position. Alright, that's a possibility. I don't mind bishop takes f6. So what did you do? You played the crazy h4. Well, I mean, what are you going to do with your king now? So one of Shirov's wives, I stress one of Shirov's wives, played castle's queenside. It's time for Family Feud, chess version. Hey, what's up, everybody? Today's version of Family Feud, chess, is which titled players have had the most wives? Mr. Coffee, can you introduce your family to the show here? All right. Anyway, like a little bit of joking. Survey says Ben Feingold. Ding, 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 ding. That's our survey's number 2 answer. All right. No, we like to have a little fun here. We like to joke about Penn State here on the stream at Youth Services. All right. Anyway, survey says Sladgy. No. Sorry, folks. Sladgy didn't make the top 3 answers on the show tonight. Number 1 survey answer is Alexei Shirov. All right. Anyway, all fun aside, guys. White now played bishop f4, a6, and then. By the way, I just want to say, like, it seems kind of inconsistent to me to play h4 and then bishop f4, but I'm just making an observation. Like, I think it's okay, but let's go for it. I agree with Mrs. X Shirov that I think I don't qualify as a top player. That's why I didn't make the survey, but I think, like, seriously, if you're going to have like 10 ex-wives, don't complain about, like legal stuff on your Facebook. Just saying. Anyway, castle's queenside is more consistent. Now you're doing like h4 and bishop f4. Make up your mind. a6, okay, bishop f5, probing. But now I wish we hadn't played h4, because now I wish I could castle kingside and play like a sane position. c5, g4. So it's basically Schumacher. I think that Samuel Reshevsky would have something to say about this position for black. Black needs to act fast, though. We need to act fast. Open the center, play in the center. It's going to be something. Knight e4. We got to play quickly here with black. That's what he did. Black bravely attempting to sacrifice a pawn. Yeah, what would Uber Driver do? I am not opening the H file. This is pretty nasty. Is it possible it's too late for our hero with the black pieces? He's already in trouble? It's late, guys. I'm getting crazy. Wow. Uber driver would approve of this idea. Hi, my name is International Master William Pascal, and Uber driver approved this message. Don't forget to move the pawns in front of your king in the queen's gambit. Declined as much as possible, and take anything in your path. Just capture. So now g6. Yeah, it's a pity to give up the white square bishop. It really is. Wow. So I am not interested in that, man. Once we see bye-bye, I am not taking this pawn. You know, I am not cool with this diagonal. I think this is dangerous. You had bishop h3? Oh, like here? Like just go bishop h3? No, it's a tough position. I mean, I was seriously considering taking here. That's an option, but your white squares are so weak, you know? This is really dangerous. I was wondering if you could take with a knight somehow. Can't you take with a knight? What am I missing here? Wait a minute. Don't you have knight takes e4? I don't understand. This is good, isn't it? I didn't even see it at first, but you can take with a knight. I can't believe that g6 is like fully okay. This is a totally different story. If he takes here, you take with the bishop, it's okay, you know? That's okay. I don't mind that. You know, what I don't like is you not having a bishop and taking with a knight, because this diagonal is like slice, pepperoni. This is very dangerous. Accidents might happen here. This is not a safe diagonal. Yeah. You know, so fortunately, you could maybe like put your king on f2 and hold everything together and build a like a Tetris in the middle here. I would, yeah. I mean, I would gravitate toward f2, but okay. Yeah, this is really scary. Maybe you overestimated your position here, or underestimated your opponent's chances. The white squares are not safe. I don't like the chances of this like getting in over here. He went queen b5 check, which that seems kind of strange, you know. I mean, I feel like he should be. First of all, he shouldn't trade rooks. Okay. Secondly, he should be trying to get in on the white squares, and maybe it's not enough, but it seems like his best shot. This doesn't really do anything. I mean, I suppose he could take here, right? He could have taken on e4. And then on queen takes, he has queen takes b2 check, king g3 with an unclear position. You're actually threatening e6 and so this is very complicated. If you take with the pawn, I mean, your pawn structure is shot. So check here, bishop takes e4. This is safer, but this is not great. You do have e6 though. So black will have to watch that push. Situation is really messy. Yeah, I don't like the look of this. So now he has the queenside majority. And then e6 is going to be a killing shot. Now it's opposite bishops, and he's not made a connection. So yeah, you have this right away. This looks pretty dangerous for black, honestly. I think he's in big trouble after e6, probably. This was a little bit of a cheapo. And you have rook takes g6 check, but it doesn't work. Or does it work? He has king f8. Rook e6 check, king f8. Rook e6 check, king f8, and there's no response. Yeah. This is the key to play e6. He really needs his bishop like on e6 or something to blockade. And again, not as strong now because your queen isn't on g6. And you finally got it. He never managed to see, the thing is, he never managed to get any kind of counterplay against you on the white squares. He had chances, but never managed to coordinate. And he's just lost now. No, but I mean, you played a very, very crazy, reckless kind of game there, you know. But with h4 against a strong player, I think if you play h4, you should be consistent castle queen side. If not, not. But when you did this interesting thing with bishop takes e4, let's see what the computer says here. Yeah, so knight takes e4. Yeah, this is just really good. This is good. His g6 is no good. What is he supposed to play? Let's go back a move, right? Here, you played g4. He has rook c8. He's in trouble. He's in trouble. What was his last move? Too slow? Wow. So he should have played c5 right away. That's what Bertold Barch played. c5 right away. He was a little too slow to play c5. Yeah, a6 was unnecessary. He was afraid of this, but a6 was too slow. It's amazing how fast your attack is. You could have played g4 right away. Wow. All right, interesting game. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Don't forget to donate, support the stream. World Senior. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Sunday stream is on Kick. Slaggy. So kick.com/Slaggy. Thanks, Mr. Coffee. Don't forget to donate, and we'll see you tomorrow here again on Twitch. Thanks, Antonio. Good games, guys. I'll see you later. Thanks, Mr. Coffee, as always. Thanks for your support, guys. Nedog, good to see you. Thanks, guys. Later.